Let's see. I want to take. All right. All right, folks, we are rolling. I know there's a couple folks waiting there on the other end, but I'm not sure how much lag this thing's got either. All right. So, for those of you that are watching here, if you go ahead and chime in and let me know if everything's good, if you can hear me. If not, I'm going to have to play with the audio here. Got a couple comments coming in. Rayland. Hope all's well out west. Good in Georgia. Hi, Ray. Squib loads here. Hey, Squib. Squib says the audio is good. All right. And this thing says we got 4 people watching out there. Oh, so it's been a while since I've done one of these. Been a long while. Been a little while since I put a video out too. See, I put one out 1st of December. It's actually 2 months from today. Okay, John Muffy says he's glad to be here. Glad to have you here, John. Ray says everything's good. All right. Hopefully everybody made it through 2020 all right. Oh, Max says, this is my first time seeing you live. Yeah, I've done a few live chats before, but we're glad to have you here today. Usually what happens is I start a live chat, and then everybody starts showing up about the time I get ready to shut it down because I don't know why I had a delay on YouTube, so I scheduled it about an hour and a half, a little longer than that, 2 hours ahead of time tonight. Maybe folks have a chance to see it pop up in the notifications. Garrett Woods, good evening. Hello, Garrett. All right. So for this live chat, it's like most of my other live chats, it's very impromptu. I don't have a whole lot planned out for it. Just thought I'd give you folks a little bit of an update. Just kind of let you know what's going on. Answer questions that any of you might have. It's kind of just laid back this evening. I'll let it go for a few minutes here and we'll kind of get going. Oh! All right. Thing says we're up to 9 folks, so. J-Man 1981, hello from Great Falls, Montana. Hello. Y'all getting a lot of snow up in that part of the country? We're supposed to start getting some snow down here on Friday. They keep changing the forecast. This morning it said 12 inches. I checked it this evening and it said 1 inch now on Friday. But one thing that they seem to be pretty consistent on is the deadgum cold is going to be here, which lots and lots. Yeah, I figured you guys would be getting up there. This would be the coldest February that we've had down in my part of the country for a long time. I can remember, not very long ago when we'd have 80 and 90 degree days in February, which is ridiculous. This year, February is looking like it's going to be cold and wet, which we need the moisture. God, do we need the moisture. Jeff Hill's in from Pennsylvania. Hello, Jeff. So, yeah, we went through – this year was a drought year. Most of our good fishing lakes went dry or got pretty close to going dry. Sorry, I got an itch in my nose. Excuse me. So our duck hunting this year was terrible. I probably talked about that in a live chat or the boat project video. I don't know if I talked about it then, but duck hunting wasn't very good this year. Dad and I went out opening day, and or I should say this season because we did the hunting last year. But anyway, Dad and I went out opening day and both scored on 2 mated pairs of canvasbacks. I got the drakes. Dad got the hens. I don't know why it worked out that way. It just did. The drakes were down lower in the canal where I was at, and the hens were up closer to the other end of the canal. And Dad managed to get the hens, and then we played hell getting them out of that canal because we shot the ducks. And when we shot them, they was flying real close to the far edge. So it's the only reason we shot. We figured now they're going to land right there on the edge. No, my 2 died where they landed. Dad was using my other pump action 12 gauge, which for him it shoots about that low at 20 yards. So he just kind of knocked them down. They floated out in the middle. And this canal is, when the lake is full, it's an outlet canal. When the lake is full, it's 27 feet deep. Right now, or at that time, the lake was pretty low, so it was probably 8 foot deep and steep walled. We managed to recover them all. It took 2 hours, but we recovered the ducks. We didn't shoot any. We could have shot our limit easy that day, but we had ducks that day, and then we went out a week later and nothing. I think I shot 1 duck. A few days later, it went in the cattails, and I never found it. I never could find it. I spent 3 hours crawling through cattails looking for it, never found it. And then after that, we just didn't see them. Had a couple shots we could have took, but, it was just all of a sudden the duck was right there. Nobody was ready for it. And then Dad and I went rabbit hunting right after the first of the year. And so when we go rabbit hunting, we don't take our steel shot because I shoot some $100 stuff. Then we get over to the same place, and there was hundreds of mallards everywhere. Didn't have any steel shot, so we couldn't shoot them. So, in fact, that was just a couple weeks ago. We figured we'd come back, and we couldn't make it back the next day. We made it back the following week, and we'd had some cold weather come in, and the lake was froze over, and the birds were gone. But we scored on the rabbits good that day. I shot 3. I think Dad shot 2. So we've got some rabbits. So it wasn't a complete waste. Max Henry wants to know when the last time when I shot my Walker. It has been 2 years. I'm ashamed to say it, but last year I just couldn't get out to the range with COVID and everything, and the NRA kind of ticked me off. So I didn't go out and shoot much. I'd like to get back out and shoot it again. That's a fun gun. Mr. Booch says, what's your opinion of the Birdie Walker? I like them. Like any other Birdie, you've got the Sunday gun, the Monday, Friday guns, and then you got the Tuesday through Thursday guns. Monday guns are crap because everybody's hung over at the factory, and on Friday they're crap because everybody's thinking about the weekend. Joking aside, I've got 2 of them. My first one, I bought it back in 2012. So it was made in 2011, so it's a 10-year-old gun this year. I love that thing, death. It'll chew through cap jam. Second one I bought used. Some of you probably know this story, but I bought it used, went to Cabela's, and it was labeled as a non-functioning parts gun. And that particular store that day was having a deal on black powder guns. And so they had marked it down being it was used parts gun. I can't remember how much it was, but with my Cabela's points and the discount that they went ahead and gave me that day, I walked out of the store with a Walker for $75, and the only thing wrong with it was a wedge was in too tight. But with it, I've noticed that more recently made guns, Birdie is getting really light on their mainsprings. I mean, super light. I've got a 49 pocket that I bought a couple years ago. It's got a super light mainspring. I've got the partner to it, another 49 pocket that is an Army San Marco made gun, and that mainspring is stiff. And then I've got a Pocket Police, was made in the 80s, and that mainspring is stiff. So I think a lot of the cap issues that people are having nowadays, is not only due to hammer faces being rough and nipple design, but it's also due to the mainsprings just being weak and they're not strong enough to keep the hammer down. So what happens instead of the hammer sucking the cap back is it just the back force, back pressure just blows that cap back underneath. But it's problems. It's not just with walkers or any particular model. It's all of them. So, but if it's going to be your first gun, I wouldn't recommend it because a walker takes a lot of powder. And it's heavy. Yeah, there's a lot of people I've known I've let shoot mine, and they shoot it once and they say that's enough, as it is a horse pistol. And I don't have my walkers here. They're at my uncle's house because I had them stored over there for a little while. Garrett Woods. I want to go ahead and highlight that comment as soon as it pops up, Garrett, and we'll get right to it. So I'm going through StreamYard, and so it takes a while for the comment. The comment pops up on YouTube. It takes a while for it to pop up on StreamYard so that I can highlight it. The Walker's all iron, but I've been reading. God, I'm getting tongue-tied. Haven and Belden. And they say the barrel and cylinder are cast steel. And I will say, good choice on Haven and Belden. That is an excellent book. My take. So, Haven and Belden have a lot of good info on the Walker. If you want to know more about particulars, I also recommend Sam Colt's Own Words, 1847, because it's all the letters and correspondence that took place between Colt and various others during the development of the Walker. And, God, you're going to put me on the spot here. The frame and hammer and the back strap were supposed to be made of good quality gun iron. The cylinder was to be made of hammered cast steel, which we know today as wrought iron. And the barrel was to be made of hammered cast steel. God, it's been a long time since I read this, so forgive me. My memory's not up on par. But I know that the cylinder, that was definitely hammer cast steel, and the frame was gun iron, what they called gun iron. So it was a mix of different types of iron. They were all wasn't the same thing. But one thing that I do clearly remember is a letter from Colt to the company he contracted to make the cylinders, because they weren't all made at the same factory, not all parts. He contracted out 3 different companies to make parts. I forget who it was that was making the cylinders, but there's one letter he writes out to this company, and he asks them if they could soften this, the metal of the cylinders, because they were continuously breaking reaming out the chambers. And Sam Colt says, anneal them to where they're as soft as lead, which you can anneal steel to where it's pretty soft, iron and steel. That kind of threw up a flag to me, because I'm thinking, these guns were reported to blow up in service, and it's not one thing, it's a multitude of others. But if you're annealing them, you're taking out the temper, the hardness of the cylinder. If you don't temper that back right, once you've annealed it to harden it back up, you're going to have brittle metal or soft metal. So I think that was probably part of the failure too, was in that process. And Colt even said, suggest the idea of, let's make them out of cast iron instead in that same letter. But unfortunately, there's not a direct response. The letter for response on that wasn't in there. So I don't know what the result was of that request, but it makes you really think, why did them cylinders blow up like they did? And also, Sam Colt also recommended that the Walker not be loaded more than with 50 grains, but the Walker's developed for the first conicals to come out. It's one of the first guns to use conicals. So in order to get towards the 50 grain charge with conicals and round balls, you got to have that cylinder a little longer. Well, I figured out you stuff a round ball in there, you got more room for powder. And they loaded it up to 60, and that also leads to burst cylinders. Nowadays, the metal's good enough, 60 grains is not going to blow the cylinder, but what'll happen if you load your Walker nowadays with 60 grains is the force of that bullet going into the forcing cone, it starts to egg out the wedge slot on the barrel. I don't know why this comment was flagged, but I'll go ahead and show it. I gotta click back here so I can see. All right. So hopefully that helps answer your question. Mr. Booch, I want to walk around a Pieta 1860 Army. I like that Pieta 1860 Army. I like Pieta guns for their functionality. I don't like them for their looks. They kind of are ugly to me, in my opinion. But if you want a gun that's going to last your lifetime, Pieta will outlast a Birdie. I replaced parts. I replace parts more often in Birdies than I do in Pieta made guns. Granted, I got a lemon when I bought my 1860 Pieta, and I had to rebuild it, but I used Pieta parts and perfectly fine. So it's not the parts, it's the who put it together. Okay. Tans posted very good note that steel improved a lot after 1858. So steel's not widely, readily available. What we consider steel today, not readily available prior to 1958 because it takes a lot to make it. It's very expensive to make. And you get the Bessemer process, and suddenly steel is a lot cheaper to make. So that's why you go from a Dragoon revolver, which is the descendant of the Walker, which is a huge 44 caliber. The Bessemer process allows that to be shrunk down to the Navy size revolver. So that's why after 1860, the third model Dragoon, they didn't make a fourth model. There was a thing on YouTube a while back where they had the prototype of what was they called the fourth model Dragoon, which was actually a root revolver 44 hand pistol, and they figured it come out about 1860 because it was in a bunch of prototypes from the 1860s, and Colt was playing around with a lot of different designs. Very few of them come to pass, but I wish that one would have come out. That was a cool looking gun. I wish I could have had the money to buy it. I would have had Birdie make me a copy of it so I could shoot it. Yeah, the Walker Revolver. And the other reason why the Walker had failures is because that gun did not have a chance to be tested. It kind of got a trial by fire. They just threw it out on the battlefield after it went through inspection. Nobody knew how really to load it. Didn't know what the recommended charges were. From my knowledge, it never went through Army ordnance testing. It was just boxed up, inspected, shipped, and went out to the front lines. One thing that kind of gets misconstrued is they say, Sam Walker and U.S. mounted rifles used them. U.S. mounted rifles didn't get them. Texas Rangers got them. And I'm not saying that the mounted rifles didn't get a few because Sam Walker had a pair, but it was his personal pair. But most of them went to the Rangers, which was they had enlisted into the U.S. Army as the Texas Mounted Volunteers. So they're kind of a, God, I don't know how you call it, be kind of like, what's his name? The Gray Ghost, Mosby. Be kind of like Mosby's crew. And they protected a lot of the supply lines. They fought a lot of the guerrillas that got behind enemy lines. They terrorized Mexico City. And, I mean, they had the people there scared. There was a reason why they was known as the Devil Tejanos. Serpent, hey, yeah, it has been a while. God, I remember I used to remember your given name, but I can't remember it now. Sorry about that, but yeah, my memory ain't where it used to be. I can tell you that. But I'm glad to have you here. Good to be back. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. And the 6:49 train is on time. I'll tell you what, since COVID came around, the trains run in the backyard. They don't run very often now. They really, really slowed down, which is nice. I don't get woke up in the middle of the night as often with the train going through, but I don't hardly see very many of them run during the day. It used to be every 10 minutes. God, it drive you nuts. There's only one place that I've lived in my entire life where I didn't have to listen to a deadgum train. I don't know if y'all have seen, what movie was it? It's one of the Man with No Name trilogy. For a few dollars more. And he goes to talk with this old guy. Serpents, Jacob. Jacob, now I remember. Thank you. So, anyway, where I was going, he goes to talk to the old guy, and that old guy is sitting there. It's all because of the trains, damn them. I think of that line every time I hear a train come through. I just think of that guy, and I'm sitting there like, I'm going to grow old and be that guy. Sitting there just cursing the dadgum trains. All right. But yeah, I know I haven't posted any videos on shooting, and some of you know the story on this. Look, I got kind of fed up with the NRA when Wayne LaPierre found out he was spending a lot of the NRA money on other things, but I didn't renew my membership this year. I did find a free range that I could go to, but the downside of it is it's 60 miles away, so I just didn't drive down there. I did go down there just before deer season because I didn't want to haul my 6.5 Creedmoor around during rifle deer because that gun is heavy. That scope I got on there is heavy. So I borrowed my uncle's 270, or not 270, 25-06. I didn't like the scope was on there, so I took it off and I put my Vortex scope on that I had on my coyote hunting gun. And when I put that scope on that coyote hunting gun, I shot that thing. It's an AR, it had 16-inch barrel. Be funny as I go out and shoot, and I'd shoot a 1-inch group, 3 rounds. Then after that, the rounds just kind of started walking off. And I thought it was something wrong with the gun. And I was getting flustered with it because you'd go out and shoot and you couldn't trust that it was going to hit where it was supposed to. I'd take it out in the tractor with me, and I'd see a coyote, and I'd take a shot. It's going one way or the other. So I thought it was a gun. I took the upper end, told the gunsmith that I couldn't hit anything with it, and I didn't think nothing about it being the scope. I had to put a new barrel on. And I got a barrel for a really good price. I think it was a Bear Creek Arsenal, which I've heard people say that was not as accurate, but the gunsmith told me that he had been using them and he was getting, good enough that he could take a coyote 400 or 500 yards out with one if he felt like it. So I hadn't put it on there. Of course, then I had pressure problems because I got a carbine length carbine gas tube with, buffer tube with a rifle length system. And it was ejecting, it wasn't ejecting like it should have been. The rounds were coming out 1 o'clock, and some of them I could reach up and grab as they come out of the gun. Just pull the trigger and reach up there, and they'd be there. Anyway, so I figured, I never got a chance to sight that in, play too much with it. I figured I'd take that scope and put it on the 25-06. So I put the scope on 25-06. We went out to the range, and the only thing we could shoot at was a 300-yard range because that was the only place that had target stands. And I zeroed it at 300. I was shooting perfect elevation. And then I walked it down because I thought, 300 is a little far from where I'm going to be hunting at because it's probably going to be 100 yards or less. So I finally walked it down. We brought the target stand in a little closer, and I walked it down, and it got to where it was zeroed at about 200. And I figured, I could hold low enough with that. And I got to noticing that the windage kept getting off. You'd shoot 3 here, then all of a sudden it just start walking off. You dial it and kind of dial around, and it would be shooting center. Yeah, I went hunting first day with it, and I spooked the deer out. I walked right past 2 whitetails. I didn't even see them. I seen them as I was walking back, and they flitted their tails and went running off in the trees. But as I was walking back, a jackrabbit ran out in front of me about 50 yards, and a coyote was right on his tail. I mean, there's probably about 4 foot distance between the two. Well, I'm going to shoot that coyote. So I turned the zoom down, got in between, and I thought, now I'll hold right between the coyote and the rabbit, and I'll hit the coyote somewhere in the front. And I pulled the trigger, and the butt of the jackrabbit just disappeared. Poof! Coyote picked up the jackrabbit and took off. It was shooting way to the right. So I went back to the range, went through a box of ammo, and the bullets just kept walking to the right. And I had it to where I couldn't dial the scope over anymore, and I figured, now, turret's gone. So I got to spend the rest of deer season packing around a 6.5 Creedmoor. It was heavier than hell, and wound up not getting anything because a bunch of goose hunters that went over. Goose season opened up that week. A bunch of goose hunters went over and scared all the deer out. So, but yeah, when you're in an ammo shortage and all of a sudden you got to start using bullets to try to sight in a rifle, I could find 25-06 at the one store up just before deer season. Deer season hit and 25-06 is gone. Then I went to go get some 6.5 Creedmoor, and the only 6.5 Creedmoor the store had in stock was the high dollar Nosler stuff. I'm talking $65 a box for 20. The only thing they had in there that wasn't that expensive was some 100 grain bullets, and I didn't want to shoot a deer with a 100 grain bullet out of the 6.5, so I didn't bother with that. But thankfully, I had a few that I'd forgot about that I'd stashed away. So, and then after that, I had a rifle antelope tag late season, and then I got COVID that week, so I didn't even get to go do that. And I tell you what, I don't know if any of you folks have had that COVID, but yeah, it's nasty. It was for me anyway. My brother-in-law got lucky. He only lost his sense of taste. I got it the worst. I figured my grandmother would get it. She got it. I figured, we'd be putting her in the hospital. She had a fever for one day, coughed a little bit on the second day, and then she was back to normal. Didn't bother her. Me, I was out for almost 10 days again, because it was my second time around. I almost was out 10 days. And then Dad and I tried to go squirrel hunting a couple weeks after that, and I was going to try to film it for the YouTube here, and forgot the camera, but I walked maybe a half mile, and I was so beat and weak, I didn't get anything done with it. So, screwed me up on my archery deer, my rifle antelope, and I just started getting my sense of smell back. I lost my sense of smell when I got sick, and it's just now coming back. So it's been a month and a half. I haven't been able. I can smell a little bit, but not very much. Squibload affects everyone differently. Most have no symptoms whatsoever. Yeah. And my brother-in-law, all he lost was his sense of taste, so he complained the whole time about not being able to tell the difference between his wild cherry Pepsi and Diet Pepsi, while I'm over here suffering. And but the good Lord did provide on a deer, though. I worked my butt off during archery season, and where I was hunting at, there was a lot of elk hunters, so they had everything kind of stirred up by the time I got there. I wished I'd have went to that spot when archery season started before rifle deer, because the amount of sign that I found that was old, I could have easily gotten a deer. And then during rifle whitetail, I didn't get anything, but Dad and I went duck hunting that last day and found the froze over lake, and we was coming home. There was a dead deer on the side of the road that we had seen it going out, and we'd been over in that area the night before, so we knew it hadn't been there for very long. So we picked it up, brought it home, called the game warden, come got a salvage permit, and we got some deer. Although we lost the hindquarters. She got hit right in the butt, and my sense of smell, like I said, I'd pretty much lost it. But when I cut that deer open, I could definitely smell that. The only problem is I got the guts on me, and after I'd been around it for about 10 minutes, I'd gotten to where it wasn't bothering me anymore. So I couldn't smell it. I didn't think it was that bad anymore. And I went into the house, and my God, my grandmother liked to beat me because I smelled so bad. But, we got about 20 pounds of meat out of the deal. Got a lot of jerky out of it, which, I was thankful for. I was able to save one sirloin and another piece of meat off of the hindquarters, but we cut into the one because it looked like it was bruised. I cut into it to see if it was any good, and you cut into it and it smelled like a wet fart, so we didn't keep much of the hindquarters. I got the back straps. Thankfully, those weren't damaged, but the guts had seeped through down the lower, so we got 2/3, 3/4 of the back straps off it. But the Lord has a sense of humor. I asked him, prayed for a deer, and we got one. Wasn't a real big deer, but it was plenty. I wanted to save the hide on it to make some brain tan buckskin, but when I started trying to skin that thing, and we saw that the back end was all tore up, and I was like, told Dad, I said, if I try to skin this, I'm going to ruin all this meat. So we just cut out what was good and kind of chopped the hide up in the process. Squib said he only got one deer this season, his first doe. I don't mind shooting does or bucks. I just, I like to hunt. I like to eat the meat. I could care less if it's got a huge rack. That's not to say if I get 4 deer in front of me within range and one's got a bigger rack, I want to take him. But I kind of live by the rule of don't pass up on the first day that what you'd be happy to have on the last. But yeah, when I first went out on archery season, I went to this little area where Dad and I had seen a lot of deer the year before. And when I say little area, this state wildlife area is little. I think it falls along a little creek bed, and at the widest spot, I think the area in that's 300 yards wide, but it stretches out for about a mile of a creek bottom. And the area that we went to is the widest spot. It's probably 500 yards wide in that one spot. I think the whole area consists of about 120 acres. I went down there and I got within shot of a couple of does. And when I first wake up in the morning, my brain isn't on. It's not functioning. And I can't drink as much caffeine as I used to back in the day because it kind of messes with my ticker. But I come up on these does and I see them, and they stand up there at 20 yards. I mean, they're looking. They never saw me. Well, that's funny. They heard me walk up. They jump out of this field to look what's going on. They look the other direction. They didn't see me. So I kind of reached down real slow, and I hooked up my release onto the bow, come to full draw, and I'm looking at them, and then I look down and realize I don't have an arrow knocked. I'm like, oh, crap, you dumbass. So I ease it back down, get an arrow in, go to knock it back up, and they just kind of start trotting off, and they got out about 80 yards and turned around and looked again at the same spot, which was away from me. And they walked off in the trees, and I thought, well, I'm going to sneak around this tree line because I went to this tree line. I was on between a couple fields. Thought I'd sneak around the backside and see where they went. I don't know where they went, but they completely disappeared once I walked down that tree line. I come around on the other side, dead, no sign of them at all. And I went over and tried to see, follow their tracks. And I couldn't do it. There was too much dead vegetation on the ground, so. 44 Magnum. Yeah, that didn't do a deer. Did you use a pistol or a rifle with that 44 mag? So it's a little slow tonight. There's 14 watching, but I'm happy to have every one of them here. Then I thought I'd talk about I don't know why that got marked. Squidblode's using a Henry Big Boy. I don't know why they flagged that. Let's see. Big D. Have I been making any holsters? I was getting ready to start doing a bunch of them when I got COVID. And since then I've kind of slacked off and I've been trying to fix stuff up around the house here. So every time I get the table cleaned off to start doing holsters, something else comes up and I wind up getting it dirtied up again. But I've got one that I haven't finished yet because I was sick when I got to sewing it. And I was going to advertise. I was going to do a video on here and advertise and tell folks, I'm going to be doing batches, get holsters in. And then I got the COVID. So I haven't got much done. But I've got one I can show here. That's the new pattern that's not completely finished yet. Let's see here. I started getting the belt loop on there and I got halfway done. That was the night I started feeling like crap. This one is one of these civilian half flaps that's for a Navy model. And this will be strictly Navy model because it's going to have a toe play and it's not going to be quite long enough for the Army. But it ain't going to be nothing for me to modify it to be an Army holster. This one I went ahead and I did, if I can get this up here where you can see it, I did a border stamping on it. And then I put my maker's mark on there, of course. It's going to have a strap here for the flap. I tried to do something fancy up here for the strap, and I went to put some lines in to follow for my tooling. And, that didn't work out worth a crap because I sneezed in the process of cutting that line. And, it didn't work out very good. But that's this one. This is going to be one I'm going to keep when I get it done. It's just a prototype to kind of get an idea if it's going to be what I need to do to tweak it. But that one, there'll be one that'll be available here pretty soon. Let's see. What else do I have for holsters? I don't have much. I haven't been making a whole lot. Like I said, I kind of got sick there and just haven't done much. Of course, I got this. This is the one, the only prototype I've had that turned out turned out right on the first time. Yeah, I'm getting tongue-tied tonight. And this one I'm never going to sell. This is for my 73 single action. I love this one. I don't know. It's just something special about this holster. So this is the only one that's finished that I have in my collection that is mine. All my other finished ones I'll end up selling. So that's the thing. Trying to do business in person, all I've got is crappy holsters to show people. I don't have anything that's real nice. Take that back. I have one of the nice one that I did a tooling job on, but J-Man. Oh, you put a comment on there, but you retracted it on the YouTube side. I still see it on another one, but I've never got to hunt blacktails. I would love to do that. All right. Big D asks if I use Herman oak leather. I'm getting tongue-tied. I suppose if I took the chew out, that might help. I don't. I use the cheap stuff on Tandy, the Argentinian special buy. That's because I can get a double shoulder for $44. Well, I could get it for $40. I think they've upped them now. They're about $60, but I can get one of those. And the reason I do that is because one or two holsters will pay for that double shoulder. I would love to use the Herman Oak, but no more orders than I get. And let's put it this, I'm not making the top quality holsters. A lot of people like my holsters and say they're real good. I don't think they're real top of the line. I think they're more like a mid-grade, but they're better than what you get from Cabela's, I'll put it that way. So I don't use the real expensive leather. One of these days, I would love to be able to use that leather, but it just the amount of returns I'm getting from what I sell, it just doesn't justify buying the higher dollar stuff, if that makes any sense. If I get to the point where I'm making better quality and I'm getting more orders, I will definitely start going with that better leather. Hootie Who is in. Hey, Hootie. But yeah, I right now I don't use Herman Oak. Let's see. Do I have any round toe double loops? I could easily make a round toe double loop. When you say round toe, you mean this style? Because right now my terminology is not in my brain. I've got too much stuff going on. So there's the closed round toe, then there's the toe plug, and then just the open end. I can do about whatever you want to do. And it doesn't take long for me to modify one of my patterns. Nice thing, wonderful thing with the patterns, I got a pattern from a friend and reenactor. He sent me a pattern for a double loop for an 1860 Army and a double loop for a 4 3/4 inch single action Army. And those two patterns, I've been able to modify them. That's how I modified and made the Bohannon style. After that, that's what I used to make my patterns off of. Is I just modify it from that one he sent me, which that was the greatest gift I ever got from somebody. I should send him a holster. I really should. I just haven't made any to send here lately. Big D. It's going to be a while before I start getting good at tooling. God, I hate tooling. I can't make it flow. I can't make it look good. You watch these guys, like I follow the Weaver Leathercraft YouTube channel, and I watch them guys do tooling, and I'm sitting there thinking, God, they make that look real easy. I get to doing it, and it looks like a Boy Scout with a cheap hatchet went at it. Boy, YouTube is flagging a lot of comments tonight here. So one of these days, maybe, and it could be too, the reason why I'm not getting good tooling is because I'm using the cheaper leather. That's very high on the possibility too. That was the last thing I really tooled. I still got that. It's another one of those I started and didn't finish. Yeah, it's right here. So this is the last one I started. I haven't finished it yet. I got halfway and don't look terrible, but it's not the greatest. I don't even know where I got this tooling pattern from. I think I took a couple offline and started, but that was the one I started on. And I don't know. I liked how this flower turned out, except for the seed I put right there. I didn't like that after I looked at it, but yeah, I don't know if it's the cutter I'm using, the knife isn't sharp enough, or if it's just the tools I got. But my lines just, from right there, it don't look bad. When you look it up close, it looks like crap. So, one of these days I'll maybe get better at it. Okay, so it's not showing up here for me to highlight, but I'll read it off. Tans asked, how's the black pattern percussion cap situation in your area? It was bad before. I have to order that stuff online. You go down to any of the local gun shops, and they maybe carry Pyrodex, and they might carry a few percussion caps in stock. But down where I'm at, it's just like there's not a big drawing on black powder stuff, so I have to buy it all online. I where are they going? I ordered from Grass and Sons for my black powder. I got over 1,000 percussion caps that I bought at Cabela's, because I went to Cabela's one day and they had these things marked down 75% off, and I went to town. I bought them, then got up there in the cash register. That guy was his last day there. He didn't care. He charged me the full price on 1,000 caps. And I told him, I said, hey, I said, those are marked down. I said, they're marked, it's labeled right there. And he said, we got to go to customer service for that. I've already charged you. You have to pay and then go to customer service. So I went over to customer, turned into a big runaround. And the woman told me, she's like, yeah, he's retiring today, so he just don't give a damn, basically. But I wound up getting them for real cheap. I think I walked out of there $35 for 1,000 caps, which, oh, that's a good deal. I think it would have cost me a little over 100 to have bought them full price. Let's see. I'm getting behind on the chat here. There was something. Scarrett Woods had a good one. I'm going to check that out. Check it out. 11 Bang Bang. Shooting on the flintlock. I wonder what your favorite load for the Brown Bess is. 120 grains, and I got a really good accuracy with a 715 round ball patched with pillow ticking. What I don't have on video is I did a load with a 735, which when you put that ball in, if you don't have the rammer behind it, if you just let it fall, just bare ball it, takes it about 4 seconds to go down the length of that barrel. It seats so tight. And the nice thing about it is, being it's almost bore size, and you don't have to put a patch on it, is that gas going around it will center that ball, and it's pretty accurate. The reason I haven't done more of it is it uses up, I use leather wads to keep it in place, and at the time I didn't have a lot of leather to spare. Well, I might do that in a video here soon. Apparently I shot that Brown Bess for the 4th of July this year, because that's usually what I do. I stand out and I fire a couple of freedom shots, being it's a Brown Bess, Independence Day, just some blanks. Apparently I forgot to clean it right after there, so I found it and I looked down the bore and I kind of scrubbed with a little brush along the side. There's no rust whatsoever, so thank God for that. But I went to go clean it and can't find my 12 gauge jag, and I had a jag for it, and I had a special adapter to go on the end of that Brown Bess loading rod, which I paid a pretty good amount of money for, and I can't find it, so I'm going to have to figure something out here pretty quick. Let's see, go back to the chat here. Let me hide that one back down. Big D's talking about the Manila holster. The artist C.M. Russell gave another artist as a gift. It's on the cover of Packing Iron Book. I have the Packing Iron Book. And what did I do with the cover? I always take the dust covers off my books because I wind up tearing them up and then I can't find them. I know what you're talking about here. Look at that. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, I'll be damned. Where in the hell? I don't remember. I see what you're saying now about that pattern. I don't remember getting that pattern from that book. I bet you what I did, now that I think about it, is I probably went on Google and found that pattern somewhere and just copied it off on paper. But yeah, that's that copy. Didn't even know I was copying it from the book I already had. Bowen, anybody know where to buy number 10 caps? Not in this market, we don't. Jesus, I seen somebody posted and they had a bunch of number 11 caps out there at an inflated price. I'm glad I stocked up when I did. There's a company out there that makes a cap maker, which I think makes number 10 caps out of soda cans. But you got to buy their priming compound, and I've heard good things about them, but I just haven't, with COVID and everything, I don't have the extra money to spend on that, but that's something I want to play with one of these days. Yeah, I couldn't tell you where to find them right now. Squibload says sporting goods, Walmart sporting goods. You got a different Walmart we can't find them down here. Of course, down here you can't even find arrows or anything unless it's in season. Can't even hardly get 12 gauge shells unless it's in hunting season. But I live in an area where the population's not real high, and Walmart just carries what the people want at that particular time of the year. Okay, Saboteur 45. Hey, I gotta go over here to do it. So yeah, I used to go. I didn't go this year. I kind of got fed up with that job up there. It just wasn't fitting my lifestyle anymore, so I didn't want to do it anymore. But yes, I've been to First Stop Gun in Rapid City. So I went to school in Rapid City, School of Mines, and I spent quite a bit of time in that store. And when I was there, it was a wonderful place. The employees were wonderful. There were several mics that worked there. I remember that. You just holler Mike and you get somebody's attention. But yeah, I really enjoyed going in there. God, they had some great guns. In fact, my third bottle Dragoon come from there. My Pieta Remington come from there. And the Cimarron double barrel come from them. So I really, really enjoyed going in there. It was a really, really good store. I bought a lot of Pyrodex from them back in the day when I used that crap. I don't use it anymore, but and I've bought a lot of 45 Colt ammo from them. So it used to be when I was working up there in South Dakota, whenever I get a weekend off, we always went to Rapid City for the gun show, and I always went to First Stop to buy 45 Colt and 4570. Because they carry the Black Hills stuff in stock, and Black Hills ammo was made right there in Rapid City too. So First Stop always had it. 4440, I bought a lot of that from them too. But I haven't been there. See, it was 2 years ago. Well, it'll be 3 years now. The weekend I wanted to go out to Rapid for the gun show and to go there, we had a blizzard that come in and hit, and when you work on a ranch, weather depends a lot on what you get to do and don't do. So I didn't make it up there for that one. And the following year and the following year after that, it's just like there was 3 years in a row that I didn't get to go because blizzards hit. One of the reasons why I got fed up with working in South Dakota is being up there in the wintertime. God, I hated that. You get done trudging around and 3 foot of snow, then that all melts and you got 3 foot of mud to trudge around. Where I'm at down here in southern Colorado, we're what was known back in the day as the Great American Desert. We get a foot of snow out here. It lasts at most a week. I can remember one year when we had snow clear into March. That was in 2006, spring of 2006. Or no, excuse me, spring of 2007. Started snowing in December of 2006. And it didn't quit until about March of 2007. And yeah, that was a muddy mess too. But usually down here, we don't get a mass accumulation of snow. This spring, we've been getting it steady about a week, 2 weeks apart, which is nice because it doesn't pile up real deep in the driveway. But when that stuff melts, yeah, if I got more than what we've been getting, I'd be flooded out in my house. But yeah, I miss South Dakota in the summertime. I miss it in the spring. I miss it in the fall. Late spring, that is. But I do not miss that snow and mud. That ranch I worked on in the wintertime, I worked on there one summer when I was in college, and I loved that. Um, I didn't like not having any time to myself to go out and shoot and stuff, but I like that summer work better. Although most of us just sitting in a tractor driving around in a circle cutting hay or baling it up. But cabin season, I kind of enjoyed cabin season up until we got those wet winters that just trudging through, and you had to tie your shoes on 3 times just to keep them from sliding off your feet. And chasing cows on foot through the corrals, trying to sort them out, that ain't fun when the mud and snow's deep. But I don't know what it was about cabin season, but I enjoyed cabin season that first couple weeks. But the other thing I miss about working on a ranch is it seems like there was something different every day. You got to see a lot of things that you don't get to see in an office. Yeah, Saboteur, I heard it was also the year that I don't go up there is the year that the weather gets nice. Maybe I was a curse because it's wet down here this year, but I'm hoping we come out of our massive drought this year. We've had more snow than we've had for quite a while. But our fishing lakes ain't gonna be worth a crap if we have another dry year. So another thing we did this year is I got my uncle's boat up and running, and cost more to pay the taxes to run the damn thing than it did to fix it. But we did a lot of fishing. There's one lake that we've got that never goes dry because it's a natural spring-fed lake and great fishery. Has some big fish in it, but it's harder to catch them. We put the boat out on that lake a couple times, and one day we did real good. We went over. It was in July. It was one of the cooler days in July we've had. I think the high was 85 that day. But me and my uncle went over, and it was foggy that morning, real foggy, and we put the boat out. We just drifted across the lake, and we caught catfish like crazy. I mean, we really slayed the catfish that day. I put out 5 jugs because you can jug fish on that lake. And I was using those little PVC made ones. I only come home with 1. We set 5 jugs out, and it was all in an area that probably take up a good sized house. And we was drifting away from them, and we was watching, and we was catching a few catfish, and we look up, and the time that took, because in Colorado you got to check jugs once an hour. So the amount of drifting we was doing in 1 hour, we make it about 300 yards away, but you could still see them. And I was sitting there, and we're drifting along, and I look up, and I couldn't see them. I told my uncle, I said, well, we got to go check them anyway. So we went over to that area, and I had marked it on the GPS on the fish finder. Them jugs weren't anywhere to be seen. We couldn't find them. And there was one other boat on the lake, so I know they didn't get stolen because he was fishing the other part. And so we went in, and he had come in, and I asked him, I said, hey, by chance, did you see any jugs floating out there? I said, they look like this. And he said, well, yes, I did. He said, I seen one going about 20 miles an hour across the lake out there about a mile out. And I thought, holy crap. So either we got some big catfish or we got into some wipers, and the wipers hit them and then just took off, because when a wiper hits, God, they hit hard. So I was thankful. I'm hoping that lake keeps up and has water this year, because that's a great fishery. The other lake we wound up fishing with a boat was Big Reservoir, and they had sucked a lot of water out. It was at 5% capacity, but still about 20 feet deep, so it's still got a lot of water in it. And we fished that day, and we had some pretty strong wind, so we was fishing in around the little corners, and some of the little, it's on an old canyon wall, so it's a lot of gullies and stuff. So those little branches, we was fishing them, and there wasn't really anything biting. We tried to catch some bluegills and some crappies, but bad day fishing is better than a good day at work. So we fished that, and then all of a sudden my uncle got a nice big, about a 10-pound channel cat. We thought, boy, we're gonna get going now. And I was starting to get a couple bites, and all of a sudden the lake went to complete glass. I mean, just went flat. And we was drifting about a mile and a half an hour before, and then when the wind quit, just sit there like he's anchored, and the fish quit biting. So, but I'm hoping that lake doesn't go dry. God, if that lake goes dry, the state has spent so much money to restock that. Um, let's see, I'm getting some more comments in. Jeremy's here. Yeah, I figured a few people as we got on the chat, Jeremy, that YouTube wasn't giving notifications, and I posted that this thing was going to go live hour and a half beforehand. So Wild Tex, you haven't quite missed it yet. I figured I'd go for hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. We'll see how it goes tonight. I started this one pretty early, so we can go a little bit longer. But speaking of boats, so most of you, if not all of you that are here, have seen, I had that update boat video on the boat, my grandfather's boat that I'm going to try to get fixed up. I haven't been doing much with that just because I got COVID and it's been kind of cold. I got one video I've got to edit and put out there, which reminds me I got some editing to do. I found some older content that I need to get up. But I got the rotten part of the keelson cut out, and the good news is that the hull, the plywood there is not rotted terrible. There's a few spots that are bad. The keelson is only rotted in about 2 foot, and it's not bad. And the stringers aren't right, so it's not near as rotted as I thought it was going to be. The bad news is that I need to buy penetrating epoxy, and that stuff runs about $157 a gallon, which I don't think I need a full gallon. I probably get away with a quart or a half gallon, but that stuff's expensive, and it's just been too cold to really work with epoxy. So I'm still working on it a little bit at a time. I haven't done much here in the last few weeks. Like I said, it's just been too daggum cold. But when it warms up this spring and I've got some time, I'm going to work on kind of getting things cleaned up. But the big thing right now is I'm kind of in between jobs. I'm not sure what the situation is going to be for the summer job. And I've put in for some other jobs here just to kind of fill in. The problem is that there's jobs out there. It's just that nobody's really filling positions right now, just with the COVID. People are needing employees, but it's just not, equaling out. So hopefully we can get something going. And I'm going to start making holsters here pretty soon. One big project I got to do that's kind of got things screwed up now is my sewer system. My sewer line in my house went to crap. So I've got to get that fixed. That takes priority. Thankfully, Banks, my grandmother owns this house. She said that she will help out with that. I'm going to do all the work myself. The only problem is that the crawl space underneath my house, me, my dad, and my uncle have all gotten too fat to get underneath there. I've put on 40 pounds since I got COVID. So I've got to get down there. I've got to cut a bigger hole in the floor to get under the house, and then I got to dig out down there so that I can kind of get around. The dust has blowed in under there from the hole on the side that we used to crawl in through, which I've got patched up so that the snow would quit melting under there. But I got to dig a lot of dirt out to get under there, and then I get the joy of running because it's all cast iron pipe from the toilet out to the septic tank, which I think it's going to take about 40 foot of pipe. PVC ain't too terrible expensive, but we got to looking and the toilet's leaking, and so I'm probably going to have to do a new toilet, and it's it's going to be interesting. All right, so I got to catch up here. Let's see. Jeremy's on. Yeah, I read that. Yeah, Jeremy, Facebook's kind of getting ridiculous. So I don't know if you know, but I got put in Facebook jail for posting the text of the First Amendment. because apparently that ticked him off. I haven't been on there as much, but I'm kind of getting more on there. Being they let me out of Facebook jail early. I got sentenced to 30 days, and they only kept me in for 21. Let's see, 11 Bang Bang. That's the one we were recommending earlier. If I had to choose a backup pistol to take into the Civil War, and your only choices were 32 caliber 49 or a 22 short Smith & Wesson #1 with a pocket full of shells, which would you take? I'd take the 32, a little bit bigger. As the 22 short, I don't know what the 22 shorts are like back in the day. If they're as hot as some of them are now, which some of them are pretty close to long rifle length or long rifle power. I don't think I'd trust a 22 short. I think I'd rather take the 32. But either one of them, they don't have a whole lot of knockdown power. They're more of a, this is gonna hurt, so I'm not gonna pursue you power. They call it psychological. It's got more of a psychological effect. Rex says, I wish they made conversion cylinders again for the 49 models. Cimarron has a cartridge conversion. It is a firearm, so you gotta go through an FFL, but it's the heck is it? 380. I was gonna try one of them, and then I seen it was $500, and I was like, I don't really want to spend that much money for just a gun to do on YouTube. Kind of getting to where I'm getting cheap on what I'm buying to do with YouTube stuff. And that was the other reason I was slacking off, is I was putting more into YouTube than I was getting back, and it was getting to be pretty spendy. So I figure if I'm going to spend that kind of cash, I'm going to put it into things I enjoy doing, not just the black powder stuff. Mama Murphy's in the house. Yeah, I figured that YouTube wouldn't notify. I've noticed that's been happening. I like to watch the Weaver Leathercraft live chats when I have the time, when I'm available. I usually don't get notified until about the last 10 minutes of it. There was another one that I was watching there for a while. I'd never get the notification until the very end. Oh, it was we've been watching the Unashamed podcast from Phil Robertson, and I don't get notifications of the premieres until the last 10 minutes, and then I go back and watch it again. But yeah, they don't notify very early. And I thought if I started, if I set it up an hour and a half ahead of time, people would get notifications and show up, but it wasn't the case. See, Jacob says 32-49 revolver 2. Wild Tech says that. Yeah, I think we'd all take the 32 caliber 49. Although, back in the day, if it was Colt made, it'd be a hell of a lot better quality than the one I got. Yeah, Rex, you got a very good point there. By the time you do convert it, it is up there in price. Wild Tech's Gunstreamer. God, it's been a long time since I've done anything on Gunstreamer. YouTube disconnected me on it, so it doesn't automatically up more. It's been so long since I logged into it, I don't even remember what my credentials are on there, so I have to go look that up. On Patreon. Yeah, I haven't been as active on Patreon, and I feel bad because there's folks over there that have been giving me money, and I can never get logged in, and I can't get around on it to shut it down, but I should start putting more over on Patreon. Just that things just didn't work out this year for the YouTube stuff. But hopefully this coming year, turkey season's coming up, and being it's turkey season, I can set up in a blind and you just kind of sit there and wait. I should be able to film that, make a higher quality film than what my mule deer hunting was when it was just me walking around the side of the hills. because I can take the big camera and set it up. I just got to talk to the landowner and make sure it's okay. Usually I'm a public land hunter, but last year with all the COVID stuff and the places that I like to hunt turkeys in were several hours drive away, and with the COVID, the income wasn't coming in because I got delayed on my entry at my summer job. I started hunting on private, and the place I got to hunt is a lot of turkeys. It seems like where I'm at, there's no public land. We're real close to home here. I think closest I got is a half hour to 45-minute drive away. And a lot of these guys just don't like hunters coming in because there's been hunters down here that have, screwed up and given us all a bad name, or they're leased out to a hunting club, which you got to pay big money to join. So thankfully, my neighbor down the road has a nice little place, and so we asked him, and he said he didn't care if we hunted turkeys. We have all the turkeys we wanted, and so we go there to hunt. So I'm very thankful to have that. I'm very thankful that he lets us hunt there. Because driving 200 miles, the one spot I had to hunt turkeys where I can get the Merriams, that you don't have to hike in 15 miles one way. It's about 200 miles round trip. Dad and I about run out of gas coming home from that last spring. And what's funny is we went in there. The first turkey hunt we did was down there. It was in the fall. I went down. Of course, I was working at the time, so the gas to go drive that far wasn't such a big deal. I drove down there, and there was turkeys all over the place. But they spotted me, so I couldn't get close to them. And then I talked my dad into getting a tag. And so we went down there and hunted together. And in the fall, you can shoot hens. And the amount of turkeys that's in this public area, you're like, holy crap. And it's so far out in the middle of nowhere that nobody really likes to hunt it. So we went down there, and there was probably 400 turkeys in this area when we finally seen them. And I got behind, because there's a lot of springs there and all these little finger streams that come out of these natural springs. And there's cattails down there like crazy. So I was able to get behind the cattails and run up and catch up to them. And I thought I had a Jake in front of me. I was wanting to shoot a Jake or a Tom. And I was watching through there, and I took a shot. And when I went over, it was a hen. But when I shot, all the Toms flew up one way. All the hens went in the other way and got in a tree. My dad was way behind me because his oxygen tank had run out, and he couldn't keep up. If those hens hadn't flew up in the trees, my dad wouldn't have got his bird. So we shot one out of a tree. But yeah, our first turkeys we shot down there were hens. And I mean, like I said, there's turkeys everywhere down there. And the reason why there's so many turkeys is that right across the property line is this huge feedlot that this rancher has. So the turkeys that we shot, they come up to the state ground for water, because there's ponds and streams and everything, and there's trees, and they go down and they feed in this feedlot. So Dad and I that last spring thought, well, hell, we'll go down there again and we'll shoot some toms because there's so many turkeys. And we went down there. We drove down there, got there right at shooting light, because you can only go in shooting light's half hour before actual daylight, and that's when the property opens up and you can walk in on it. We hiked through there. We found the sign where they've been roosting. We found the sign where they've come to water, where they'd scratched, but we could not find a damn turkey. And there was one set of boot tracks through there. Because we went 3 days after opening day. We didn't go opening weekend because we figured everybody would be out there, but only 100 had been out. And we looked and we couldn't find birds, so we thought, well, hell, we're going to spend the rest of the day just kind of look and see what's all down here, because there's a couple of campgrounds down there at the Forest Service runs. Of course, with COVID, they're shut down. So we went down and looked, and the canyon that we're hunting in, it ain't real shallow, but it's super wide up where we hunt at. we got down there towards the campgrounds, and holy crap, that sucker's straight wall up 300-400 feet. And you can't get down to the bottom. And we did see a few turkeys on Forest Service down there, but we're like, we can't hike down in there and get them. So then we decided to drive out of there, but we went up and we took the road through this rancher's yard because the county road goes right past his house, right past the feedlots. So it's on the south side of this hunting area. When we got to those feedlots, there must have been over 1,000 turkeys around that feedlot. And this rancher, he runs a hunting outfit there. And they had it advertised on their thing because they offer cottages and they have a hunting guide service. So we looked it up and thought, what the hell? We'll see what he wants. $500 to hunt a turkey and you guide yourself. And I thought, yeah, $500 to drive at feedlot and shoot a bird. Yeah, I'll go somewhere else. So we tried another hunting spot where I know there's a lot of turkeys at, but turkeys are pretty smart. The place where I work at for the federal government borders this hunting area. And first day of turkey season, turkeys head over to that, which you can't hunt on that federal park. So we went down there and we called the turkeys. You'd hear them. You could tell where they'd fighting, but they'd come to the fence line and they'd come no further. All right, I need to catch up on the chat here. 11 bang. Yeah, we shot ballistics gel with a Model 1 and 3 grains of 4FG topped with 15 grain lead ball. It only went through about 3.5 inches. Yeah, it's not very winnow. Jacob asks, what's my thoughts on the new Cimarron sight? I haven't looked at it. Tell you what, I'll give you a live opinion right now. Let's see. Oh, I kind of fancied it up a little bit. Oh, they got some holsters advertised. They look about as the same quality as my holsters. Holy crap, they got the Walker's Walker finally listed. Jesus, they don't want nothing for it. Yeah, I can't believe that Walkers and Dragoons are up to $500 now. God, I thought I was getting ripped off when I was paying $425 for one. Actually, I think the most I've paid for one is $385 because I got a good discount. I don't know. I kind of like this new site. Let's see what they got listed here. They're supposed to have a new model of the Smith & Wesson, which I was really excited for, but then I got to thinking, this is Cimarron, so it's going to be higher priced. Let's see. That all looks pretty standard. Yeah, I figured that the Model 3 first Model American and 45 Colt, I really like the look of that gun, but they want about $1,200 for it, which for a Smith & Wesson, that's about what you Birdie's getting for them now. That's why I don't have one. I'd love to have one, but they're a little higher price. Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. I kind of like the new site. See what they got in the Percussion. See what they're getting for a Walker now. It has been so long since I looked at buying any black powder guns. I don't even know what the prices are anymore. See a McCulloch 1860s going for $530. Yeah, that's too much for my blood. Oh, $500 for a Dragoon. $400 for a 58 Remington. My God. Pocket models $400. That's about the same as what they've been going, $375 to $400. But I will say with Cimarron, you do get a little bit better quality again. Yeah, about $400 for an 1860 Army. My God. Yeah, $495 for Walker. I'm glad I bought mine when I did, when they was a lot cheaper. But like I said, Cimarron's a little bit higher on the price spectrum. All right, I gotta catch up with the chat here. Let's see. This thing bounces around. Wild Tech says turkey hunts are always fun. All they hunt are hogs and deer. Yeah, I love to go hog hunting too. I looked into it because Dad wants to do a hog hunt down in Texas, and we looked at one place and they charging I think $350 a hog. And I thought, it's a little expensive for us to drive down and pay for a hog when I go get a feeder hog for $200. But I had a rancher come in from Texas to come into where I work at, and I was telling him about that, and he said, "Hell," he says, "I'll pay you the $350. Come down and shoot him." And I gave him my information, and he said, "Well, when I get back home, I'll give you a call and we'll set something up." And I told him, I said, "I just come down. We just want to come down and shoot some hogs." And he never got in contact with me, and I'm real sad. Dad would love to go on a hog hunt, but Mama Murphy. All right, I'll have to look into that. Mama's making Murphy stew. I'll look into that when you get that posted. Rex, back in the 20s, a man was killed by a 22 short near where I live, 30-minute drive. I ain't saying it wouldn't do the job, but I think I'd still take the 32 over it. There's a guy I used to work with when he was a kid. Him and his brothers got to playing with a 22 rifle, and I don't remember which one it was. But the gun went off, and one of them got shot. And I mean, they showed me the scar, and you'd think it'd have been a heart shot. Bullet went in, bullet went out the backside. Of course, the mother was in hysterics, and they called the hospital, and I said, "Well, get him up here as quick as you can." And what's funny is that the house that they lived in was the house that I stayed in when I was volunteering for the Forest Service, because all that area wound up going into the Forest Service. The Army had taken that for a maneuver site, and then they wound up turning over a bunch of that property to the Forest Service, or a small chunk, I should say, small chunk of that property to the Forest Service for management, because all the historical artifacts and fossils and stuff. So I wanted to stay in the house. But anyway, it takes us an hour to get down there. And I can't imagine, it'd take at least that long for her to get out. But anyway, they took him to the doctor, and they got to the doctor, and the doctor looked at him, and the hole wasn't bleeding. There's a hole right there. Wasn't bleeding either side. He was breathing fine. Sounded normal. And he said, he ain't bleeding. I ain't going to do nothing for him but put a Band-Aid on it. And he survived. So, 22, it will do the job if you hit the right spot, but it ain't the deadliest one out there, that's for sure. Jacob says that one's been listed for a while. Yeah, I know it. Last time I looked on there, and it's been a while, they had it listed as coming out soon. And that was before the Walker's Walker was available, and that was just when the 32 pocket model conversion model was coming out. I got to see one of those in a gun store, one that I go to occasionally up in Pueblo, Colorado. But he had it listed for like $500, and he said that was he got a real good discount on it for an advertisement model, and he said he marked it up, and he said it was still pretty high with his markup. So, which I think he said he marked him up 25% of what he paid for him. So, yeah, it was a nice looking gun though. God, I wished I had more money. I could just blow on that stuff. Okay, looks like it's kind of Rex talking about that guy killed 22, so who's an innocent bystander. That's always a sad thing. I don't know if you all have heard. I didn't hear about this until I was looking on one of the duck hunting groups. God, there was a sad, nasty thing that happened out there in Tennessee. God. And from what it sounds like is the old man that did the bad thing wasn't quite in his right mind, which is even sadder. But yeah, I was following that pretty close there for a while, and yeah, I hate when you read about things like that. No provocation. Well, they claim there's no provocation, but being that the old man was found in the lake and drowned, died, we're never gonna get the real story of what happened, but that was a sad, sad thing. Oh, Dillman, hello. So there's still some people coming in. We've been going for an hour and a half now. Yeah, we'll go for a little while longer. Whoops, picking a mess here. So, anyways, but yeah, that's I'd mentioned this back in that boat project video. I don't know if y'all seen that or not. I assume most of you have, but here this year in the future, we're going to start doing some more other things besides just the black powders. I'm going to just kind of expand the channel into a general, basically everything I like to do. Kind of a general outdoors channel. Probably might do some videos with the garden work, and that's one thing Dad and I like to do a lot in the summertime is raise up a nice garden, and we had a wonderful garden this past year. It's funny with that is him and I planted. Well, the garden is actually two different patches. Dad's got his patch, I've got my patch, and we work them together. We do our weeding and take care of watering together. But what's funny is that we'd started some zucchinis in the house early because everybody in my family loves eating the zucchini squash. So we planted 6 in Dad's, and I thought, the hell, I'd plant 6 in mine. We had more squash than we knew what to do with, and Grandma had told me before they started putting out, because we didn't realize it was going to put out like they did. See you, Jacob. Anyway, Grandma had me plant 9 more. So by middle of July, we're up to our neck in squash. So Dad cut the 6 out of his garden. Well, 3 of them died. We don't know what killed them. They just all of a sudden they was dead. We assume it was probably some cutworm or something. So Dad wound up cutting out his, and then the first 6 that I'd planted, they were growing into my peppers and stuff. I had everything way too close this past year, so I cut those out, and I thought, the 9 that we planted are going to come up, and we're going to still be doing good with squash. We went from 12 to 9, and them 9 I planted, they didn't do hardly anything. I planted 3. I had 3 of the dark green zucchinis. I don't know what particular type they are. Then I had 3 of the yellow crookneck, and then 3 of these round ones. I don't remember what they're called, but Dad really likes to grow them. They all taste the same when you fry them up. But the crooknecks, they still produce more than the others, but we didn't hardly have any. So after we cut out the producers, we didn't hardly have any squash, which I was kind of sickened by. But I told my grandmother this year, I'm just planting 6, and that's all we're going to plant. And they're going to get planted in an area where they ain't going to grow into the other stuff. But I planted, I don't know, it was like 40-some tomato and pepper plants combined. I think it was 10 tomatoes and 35. Yeah, that's what it was. It was 10 tomatoes and 35 peppers is what I had. And I kind of got screwed. I ordered some seeds from Gurney's. I wanted some of these they call a habanada. They're a sweet habanero that don't have any heat. Because I like the habanero flavor, but I don't like the heat off them. And I wound up with more bell peppers than I thought. The seed of habanadas weren't habanada seeds. They were bell pepper seeds. So I think I wound up with like 10 bell peppers and 5 jalapenos, 5 poblanos, and 5 of the sweet Anaheims. So, but yeah, I might do some garden videos this year, and that's something we like to do. We're gonna try to do some fishing videos. I was gonna do fishing videos last year, but by the time we gather up all the gear, and I never remember to charge a camera and that, and I really didn't want to take my $high cameras out in the boat and in the lake with them. But I think if I do that, I'll take the Target cam because of all my cameras. That's the least expensive and the easiest to replace. I think I paid $200 for it. Okay, so retard commentator, hello from Colorado. He's hailing from Texas. Jay and Mary, reckon they'll start having powder in stock again soon? No. So the problem with the ammo shortage is all the companies are running at capacity. However, with COVID, they can't run as much as they normally could, which I can understand. And they can't justify opening up new factories. But what they are producing, they're going to suck up most of the primers and a good portion of the powder. Now, I have heard of people being able to get their hands on some primers here and there. But primers and powder is going to be something that's going to be hard to come by. And that's just because they're going to be trying to catch up on the stuff that's not in stock, try to get things back up to normal again. But I don't see it improving anytime soon. I was very fortunate that for my hunting ammo this year, my waterfowl ammo, I was able to buy get some in stock this summer. Unfortunately, I can't get it anymore. But I tried. I went with the higher dollar heavy hammer. I bought some heavy hammer, and I tell you what, I noticed a big difference between it and just your cheapo steel shot that you get from Walmart. Massive difference. With that steel stuff I was using the first year we went duck hunting, Dad and I shot, I don't know how many ducks I shot that were well within range. I mean, 20, 30 yards. Shoot them 2 and 3 times, and they would still fly off. And then go out and die in the middle of the lake, 300 yards from shore and 12 foot of water. We didn't have a boat available, and I don't have a hunting dog because my one dog that retrieves real well doesn't like guns, and the one dog that's not bothered by guns wouldn't retrieve anything. You throw a ball and she'll run out there and look at it and then come back. If they don't move, she don't pick it up. So we lost a lot of birds, and I just wasn't happy with just that cheapo steel, so I thought I'd try that heavy hammer. And the 2 ducks I shot this year were dead when they were hit. Hey, 11 Bang gave us a super chat. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I might buy me a tin of caps. Like I said, thankfully I got some caps in stock, but I don't want to burn them up soon, but greatly appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Let me catch up here. See, 6-shooter. Hey, good to see you, 6-shooter. I take it YouTube didn't give you a notification until just a little while ago, too. So, I don't know how it works, but if you hit that bell notification down there by the subscribe button, sometimes you get better notifications. I did that on the Weaver Leathercraft one. I still don't get notified until it's too late. I don't pay attention enough to realize when it's going on, but yeah, I don't get notifications to them until damn near the end of the chat. Jay Mary says, I got a dog that'll grab a dove, but he takes his cut. Yeah, that's the other thing with the dogs is that the one that retrieves real good, she's pretty easy to train about putting stuff down when you tell her. If you're right there and you can get your hand on her, she'll drop whatever she's got. Otherwise, if you can't get a hold of her, she's gone. she takes off. One thing I don't like letting them do is chew on bones. Because we got a compost pile, and whenever time we have bones left over, we throw them in the yard. And we had a dog one time got real sick from eating bones out of the pile. So I try not to let them chew bones unless it's a soft ham bone, shoulder bone that I know they're not going to choke on. So if I get her in the yard and I catch her with a bone, if I get my hand on her, she'll drop it. If she doesn't, if you can't get a hand on her, she just takes off. And what's funny is when I did this dead deer out here, or this roadkill deer out here in the yard, she didn't want to have nothing to do with it. But the other day, she got a piece of the hide, and boy, she was going to bring that thing right in the house. And she was running from me because she knew I was going to take it away from her, and I let her get halfway in the door. Then I grabbed her collar, and immediately she spit it out. But I think she was doing that before I got her, because when I got her, she'd been dumped, and I think whoever had her before had beat her for eating stuff. Because when I just had her, I could not be in the same room when I fed her. I'd have to give her food and then leave the room, or else she wouldn't eat. She would not eat in front of people. And anytime in the house she picked up something that she wasn't supposed to have, all you had to do is just say drop it, and it was on the floor, and she'd run and hide. So I fought, trying to keep her healthy looking, because any little noise, she'd leave the food bowl and run and hide. And then I got my second dog, Gracie, the younger one, and Dolly completely changed. Now, boy, when she comes in the house, she runs right to the food bowl and she starts chowing down. She don't care who's in the house. She don't want Gracie getting out of her food. So, but yeah, I wish. I tried to train Dolly because I wanted to, being she retrieved balls and stuff. I thought, well, I could train her to be a hunting dog, and I wished I'd have known more about that when I tried. I figured out I'll just go out in the yard and start shooting the shotgun off and get her used to it. I made her so gun shy, it's not even funny, and I feel bad about doing it that way. But one of these days, I might get a hunting dog. Though. Jeremy, yeah, might be free Saturday. I should be free Saturday. I don't know, because it's gonna be cold and nasty. We was gonna go hunting that weekend, but it's gonna be cold and nasty, so we probably won't go hunting. But yeah, just hit me up on Facebook, and let me know what you got going. Six Shooter says I was busy putting a spring kit in my new Ruger. Oh, nice. Which one did you get? I seen something interesting on there, and I don't know if this is true, if it's accurate, but somebody posted on one, I think it was on the Black Powder Revolver Enthusiast, the Ruger New Model Armies are not considered antiques, so they're treated, you have to run them through a FFL and do a background check on them. I didn't know that. Apparently that's what you have to do, because they're not copies of historical pieces. They are a modern design, which, if that's true, then that means the your inline muzzle-loading rifles are not considered black powder, and you have to go through an FFL. I don't know. If anybody's got their opinion, wants to share on that, let me know. But I wouldn't be surprised if they start changing the rules here pretty soon on that stuff, which is going to be sad if they do. The thing about laws is that most laws are written to tell you no more than it takes to confuse you. You go on the AATF website, depending on what document you read, black powder guns are firearms or they're not firearms, depending on what the mood is that day. Jeremy's going to try to do a live stream. All right. Yeah, I might be up for that. I said just get a hold of me through Facebook. So, this is the other thing I was going to mention. I know a lot of you viewers, some of you probably have me as friends on Facebook, but I've kind of stopped just adding on viewers as friends on Facebook, because it's kind of gotten to the point where I see more from people that I don't personally know than I do from my friends. So if you send me a friend request on Facebook and I do not respond to it, do not take offense. It's nothing personal. It's just that I kind of like to do Facebook to keep in touch with people I know, family members, some fellow YouTubers that I try to do collaborations with. I try to keep it for that. So like I said, don't take offense. It's nothing personal. You can follow me on the Duke Frazier Productions Facebook page, which I need to do more on that page too. I don't do a whole lot, but yeah. So like I said, if I don't add you as a friend on Facebook, please don't take offense. It's just it's getting to the point where I'm not seeing as much from my family and close friends. 6-shooter picked up a single 6 and 32 H&R Magnum that was made in 1985 and never shot. It's a perfect match for the one I bought in 1986. Nice. I thought about buying a 32 H&R Magnum when I was younger. When I turned 21, I was going to get one of the Heritage ones, but I never couldn't justify it after I decided to go with a 4440 instead. But that's one of the other things where I've kind of reduced the amount of guns is that wasn't that I got too many guns. You never have too many guns, in my opinion. It's just that I was getting them all in different calibers and getting the ammo. I was like, holy crap. Jay Mary says, check out the Heritage Barkeep pistol. I hadn't heard of that one. Of course, I had a Heritage 22. My dad has it now because I traded him. He wanted it. He had a Winchester Model 94 that he didn't use anymore. I shot that thing like crazy, and so we wound up just doing a trade. So he wanted to have the pistol for home defense, which I don't recommend 22 pistol, but that's what he wanted. So I traded him for it, and I don't regret it. I just did not care for that Heritage. And the Heritage I got was when they was kind of getting started into making pistols, and the quality was crap. I don't remember what parts of it, but I had to send it in about every 200 rounds to get a new spring or new hand, and I'd take it down to the gunsmith to have him fix it, and he couldn't get it fixed, and I finally got mad, and I went I think it was Ruger. It was Ruger springs that I ordered, and I put in it. And after that gun's been beautiful. But Dad, right after I did that, I gave it to Dad, and Dad don't use it that much. That and 22 long rifle. God, when I gave it to him, that was when we had the big 22 long rifle shortage years ago. So we just didn't shoot it because we couldn't find 22 ammo anywhere. But I had the one that had the 22 mag cylinder too, and that's what Dad uses with it. Is he's got a 22 mag rifle. That was the other reason he wanted it, is it goes with his Winchester 22 mag. But he finally last year he found and bought a big case of 22 mag bullets, so he's set. And I've been stocking up on 22 when I could find it. Jay Mary says early Heritage pistols suck. Yeah, that one did. But eventually one day I'll get it back. But Dad can use it. I've gone beyond the 22s now. I shoot the bigger guns. But be a nice gun for taking. Except I got the short 4 3/4 inch barrel, so it wasn't all that accurate. But it'd be a nice gun to take hunting with for rabbits. Jeremy, I'm having a hard time getting my hands on 45 Colt. I've got 1 or 2 boxes of 45 Colt that my uncle gave me. He bought a conversion cylinder for his. He had 1860 Army, and he shot 45 Colt for a while, and then he quit shooting it. So he gave me his ammo, and I've got a few boxes, but I don't shoot it that much. I need to get a new bullet mold so I can shoot black powder loads through my 45 Colt. I've got the dies. I could load some smokeless rounds, but powder's kind of getting hard to find. I got a stock of powder that I haven't even opened up in my back room because I was going to try The plan this spring was I was going to try to get my coyote gun up and running. And I was going to try some different bullets and do some hand loading because I've got tons of 223 brass. I mean, I got tons of that stuff. Now I've got some bulk 55 grain full metal jacket bullets. Well, I bought some hunting bullets for coyote hunting and stuff. And I stocked up on a bunch of powder. But then the NRA thing happened and I haven't reloaded any of it. That my scope went to hell, and I'm gonna have to send that back to Vortex to get that fixed. I think if I get it fixed, I'm gonna put it back on the 223 things. I'm not gonna be using 25-06 for a while. $11 bang bang. Yeah, the ammo shortage is hurting me too. I can't find my 32 rimfire at Walmart anymore. 32 rimfire, Jesus. I couldn't even find that stuff when I was thinking about getting the 32 H&R Magnum. Of course, like where I'm at, if it ain't a mainstream cartridge, don't figure on getting it. What was really funny was when the ammo shortage started really happening, when I was looking for ammo for deer season, I could go down to the store. I could not get 25-06 to hardly save my life except for this one gun store. But I walked into this one other kind of a department store. It's more of a ranch-style department store. Big R is what it's called. I walked in there and I went to the ammo section. They had 20 boxes of 300 Win Mag for $25 a box. I'm like, holy crap. I wished I had a 300 Win Mag. I'd be stocking up right now. And they had 30-06 and they had 308. That was all they had. They did not have any pistol ammo in. They did not have 6.5 Creedmoor or any other rifles. They had 270 Winchester Short Magnum. I think it's Winchester Short Magnum. It's the Short Magnum 270. Anyway, that no 25-06. I just happened to go to this little gun store that opened up a little over a year ago, which is my go-to gun store now. And all they had for big rifle was 25-06 and a few other oddballs, and they didn't have any 300 Win Mag. They didn't have any 308. And I told the guy there, and I said, "Yeah," I said, "You go to Big R over here," and I said, "They got all kinds of 300 Win Mag." So he left his wife there at the store and went to and bought 300 Win Mag. Six-shooter. Started shooting cowboy action, and I needed a second revolver to match my old one. Also bought a Henry Big Boy in 327 Federal. I always wanted one of those Henry Big Boys, but they was just a little bit too much money, and I thought, I hate the tube load design on them. I just hate that. Now they've got them with the loading gate. They're basically a mix-up between a Marlin 336 and the old-style Henry with the tube, but I just can't justify spending that much money on them. If I'm going to spend that much money on lever action, I'll go buy an old used Winchester 94, which to me, that is the best lever action rifle available, is a good Winchester 30-30. I've got one. I've got a Marlin 336, and I like them both. I really do. Oh, the Marlin 336, that's what I was letting my dad use for a long time because his eyes, he got to where he couldn't see the front sight on the lever action. And then when we was talking about getting into big game, he thought, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to use a 30-30. And I had a flintlock that didn't shoot worth a crap. And I traded it to a friend for that Marlin 336. And the nice thing is I can put a scope on it. So if Dad draws a tag this year, we're going to put a scope on that. And he's going to take it hunting, but I got to talk him into drawing a tag first. Although now he's got a muzzleloader that my late cousin had given him a couple of years ago. So, and he can hit. We took Dad shooting out with that thing, and it's a 54 caliber. It's an old CVA kit, and we stuck shotgun shells up at 50 yards to shoot. And my uncle with his 45 Hawken and me with my 50 Hawken could not hit a single one of them. Oh, My uncle could get close. My 50 caliber Hawken, I don't know why. Elevation's perfect at 50 yards, but it walks the bullets this way. I don't know what the difference is. But we couldn't him. Dad could knock them primers out every time with that Hawken or that 54. My gosh. So he might wind up going with that for if he draws a tag this year, if he decides to put in. Which that's going to be coming up soon. I don't know if I'm going to put in for as many tags as I put in for last year, though. God, I got 4 tags and I didn't fill any of them. Jeremy said almost had a Ruger Colt Peacemaker clone, but it would have put about $300 to fix it on an 800. Jesus, yeah, that's a little too much. You can buy a new one for less than that. Squib says Henrys are worth every penny. I'm a Winchester guy. Now, if I was going to buy from Henry, I would buy the original Henry style. And just so y'all know, the Henry that you buy today is not the Henry that was around in the Civil War. Same name, but 2 different groups. The Henry that's around today, a lot of their rifles are based off of Ithaca design because from what I heard, the engineer at Ithaca that designed and patented the lever actions that they used, he kept the rights to the patent. Well, then when Henry Arms came out, he went to work for them. So the Henry Arms nowadays are kind of the copies of the early Ithacas, although a lot of the newer ones are newer design. But the original Henry, the 1860 Henry that was used in the Civil War, was designed by Benjamin Tyler Henry, who was working for Volcanic Arms. Volcanic made the first lever action style with lever action pistols that weren't worth crap. Then they went into rifles, and then Henry designed the 1860. And there were some changes in the shareholders. I don't remember the exact details of this. I just remember off the top of my head. But Henry, Benjamin Tyler Henry, wound up leaving the company, which left Oliver Winchester as the primary stockholder. And so it became Winchester Arms. And shortly after that, they modified the Henry, and it became the 1866 Yellow Boy. So what they did, instead of having the magazine and barrel as one component, which was expensive and hard to produce, they made a separate barrel and separate magazine tube that both screwed into the receiver and put a loading gate on the side so you didn't have to try to drop them in from the top, and made an overall better design. And then John Moses Browning come in and made even better designs. Six Shooter says they're the only manufacturer chain bringing 32. Oh. 32 is not a common caliber you find. It's funny, years ago, speaking of those oddball calibers, walked in when I bought my first AR, went into the store, and I'm not a big modern gun guy, and modern guns I don't spend a whole lot of money on just because they don't have the appeal to me. It's not that I don't like them, they just don't appeal to me. I got more appeal for the older guns. So I walk into the store, and they've got more ARs than what you can dream up. I mean, custom ARs. They're different styles. They've got different add-ons. And I was looking through there, and all of them were about $1,200 a piece. Well, over in the corner, they had 2 M1 Grands at $1,200. I'm sitting there thinking, if I got to spend $1,200, I'm buying the M1 Grand. More knockdown power, more history to it. But then they had these 2 French rifles there next to them, and they're World War I. I want to say one was a LaBelle, and I can't remember what the other one was. But they're this oddball calibers that aren't hardly around. So I asked the guy, I said, do you have any ammo in stock for them? Because they only wanted like $200 for each rifle. And I'm sitting there thinking, God, I could buy the M1 Grand and buy that and have 2 cooler rifles for about what I'd pay for one of those ARs. And the guy said, no, he says, but I can order it and I'll look it up and see what it's going to cost you. He looked it up, and I think it was like $75 for a box of 10. I said, no, thank you. So I passed up on that, and I kind of wished I'd have bought that Lebel, but I think I can't remember if it was a Lebel or if it was another one. It was a French gun, French or Belgian, one of the two. It's World War I era. I think one was a single shot and one was a magazine fed. But anyway, it's been so long ago I can't remember the exact details on it. But then I walked around the corner and they had a used MP15, so I wound up buying that because it was only $700. And then I wound up spending more money to modify it. I think I've got it up to $1,200 now that I've got into it. So I put a low profile gas system and I put a rail that was at the time almost the length of the barrel because I really liked that look. And then I wound up putting a new barrel on it. And I thought I'd like the new barrel, but I really don't care for it all that much. It's too damn long and heavy. Hade says, hello. Jeremy Glenslinger says, I want the repo of the stripper fed one. Can't remember the model number. Talking about a Winchester? If you're talking about that one, that would be the 1895. I think they fed that with a stripper clip. I'm not sure. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. God, I'm getting tired tonight. I can't keep track of what I'm thinking of. See, we're running up on about 2 hours here, so we'll go a little bit longer. We're going to shut her down. We're up to about 20 people watching, which we're glad to have you all on. And maybe I get more active here with some of the chats and stuff too. But I know what I've been forgetting to do. All right, so I know some of you had asked about holsters lately. If y'all are thinking about ordering a holster, you order them. You send me an email to DukeFraserProductions@gmail.com, and I'll add that. Big D, yes. In fact, I talked about that a little bit earlier. I'll highlight that when it pops up over here. Yeah, I love to have one of them, but we just looked at the price and went over and looked at the Cimarron. They're about $1,200, so it's out of my league for a while. If I spend that much money on a rifle, I'm going to get another bolt action. I'm going to get a 300 Win Mag for elk hunting, or a 30-06. 11 bang bang chase pot. Yes, that's it. It was a chest pot, and the other one was a magazine fed, and I can't remember which one it was. I want to say it was a Belgian made. Yeah, chase pot. I do remember that now. That was, I think they wanted $150 for that one. Yeah, but they couldn't find that one. One of them they couldn't find ammo for. The other one had really expensive ammo. Angela Sevilla says, hi, hello. Oops, my phone's making noise. 6-shooter Texans out. Jeremy, yeah. So I'd love to have a 95 Winchester. That was Teddy Roosevelt's favorite. That's the only Winchester lever action that you can use the sharp nose bullets on because they go into a box magazine instead of the tube. Jeremy says I'm saving up for a Colt Army 1860. Yeah, from what I just seen on the prices for the black powder clones, they're getting up there. At that prices, I ain't going to be buying anything anytime soon. I'm glad I got what I did when I did. But the good news is that if I wind up selling them, I know I'll get a bigger return than what I put in. But no, the kind of at the point right now that 2 guns I want to get, and they are more modern, is a bolt action either 30-06 or 300 Win Mag for elk hunting, and I want to get another handgun that's in 40 Smith and Wesson. I've been really thinking hard on a Glock if I could find one used for a reasonable price. That's just because I've got so much 40 Smith and Wesson ammo sitting around that I just don't know what to do with it, and I don't want to sell it because if I do get another 40, then it's going to be hard to find ammo again. Yeah, I had a Smith & Wesson SD40, which is a cheap knockoff of a Glock, and I really liked that gun. It ran well, but then it got to the point where it was jamming pretty bad, and every time it would jam when it was feeding, but every time you smacked the bottom of the magazine, the bullet go in. But you couldn't use tap and rack, because once you tapped it, the bullet go in, you rack it, the next one would jam. And I thought it was magazines. Well, bought new magazines, didn't fix the problem. And I kind of got fed up, so I went to the gun store and I sold it. And then I bought a 38 Special revolver. And then I found out that the reason why it was not feeding properly is that the mag release button where it catches on the magazine was plastic, stainless steel mag. I had shot that thing so much, I had worn out that mag release, so it was no longer holding the magazine up far enough for it to properly feed in. So for a couple of dollars, I could have had the thing fixed. Instead, I sold it, and by the time they took out the commission, I got as much as I paid for the gun. But then I also sent with it all the magazines I bought, which was 10 magazines. So I felt kind of like an idiot after that. And when I realized that they had sold, I realized that the day they sold it. I was going to go pull it, and they sold it. So I'm without a 40 again. But if I go with another one, I'm going to get a Glock. Pretty sure I'll go with that. An A3 Winchester. I gotta look that up because off the top of my head, I can't think of what an A3 Winchester is. It's popping up all kinds of different Winchesters. Hey, there is a reproduction of Winchester 95. Remind me which one the A3 is because my brain is not working right now. Jeremy says, I need one for my mud test for black powder guns. Ooh, that sounds terrible. Ha. Yeah, I hate to throw my guns in mud. Which I'm sure it's a Colt. It'll work just fine. But yeah, that's going to be, ugh. If you do that, Jeremy, buy a used one. That way you're not messing up a good new one. Bolt action 30-06. Okay. Oh. Duh. Now I know what you're talking about. Boy, I feel stupid. Yeah, that would be a fun one to shoot, but I want one I can mount a scope on, which you can mount a scope on that one, but the scopes that come with them are the long ones. If I go with a 30-06, it's going to be a Savage. I am a Savage fanboy. Yeah, retarded. Yeah, I feel retarded right now. Jesus. Yeah, A3. Yeah, that would definitely be a fun one to have. Let's see, Wild Text. Have you ever concealed carried a new model Army Sheriffs? No. I've never owned a new model Army Sheriff. I wanted to get one when I was in college, but then the budget didn't allow it, and then I kind of lost interest after that. Yellow scope is on. Boy, you're really making me. Yeah, I'm feeling real retarded tonight. God. Let's see. I gotta look at it. See, on Gunbroker, they got A3s listed, but they're all without the scopes. Hunter Bonnie says Colt Walker a good starter. I wouldn't recommend it, just because it's a whole lot of gun, and Walkers can be temperamental. The biggest problem that folks have with them is the loading lever dropping, which can easily be fixed with a rubber band, a rubber O-ring, a piece of string, a piece of leather. They make now. There's some guys on eBay that have 3D printed plastic pieces that slide over and hold it in place. I've seen some guys make some out of brass. You can go all out and modify it and put a 1860 Army catch on it. I think Kaido Ojama did that on one of his. That being said, the first Walker I bought, the lever drops on it a lot. I did a modification to it, which I have a video on that, and it works very well. The second one I bought, and I've already told the story on here, but yeah, I got it for next to nothing. I've shot that one quite a few times, and I've had up to 40 grain charges in it with a round ball, and the levers never dropped on me. So I think Birdie has probably done some modifications to solve that problem, because that's the biggest complaint people have. Although it is historically accurate, that's why they changed that loading system into the Dragoon models. But if it was me, for a starter gun, I would go with an 1860 Army. They're still 44. So if you decide to go to a Walker later on, you don't have to change your ammo. And Walkers don't take as much, or Walkers take more to load. They use up more powder, goes faster. That's one of the bigger reasons I don't shoot my Walkers a lot, is just because they suck up so much powder. I load about 20, 25 grains in my 1860 Army. Walker, anywhere from 40 to 50 grains. 40 is most accurate with mine, and I've heard a lot of people say that 40 is very accurate with their Walkers as well. Yeah, Hunter says that he didn't mind that part. You live with it. Yeah, it's historic. If you're buying it for historical accuracy, and it's perfect. But I made a slight modification. Mine took care of the problem, except for when I shoot conicals out of it, it does drop the loading lever. Just that added recoil. It still drops to do with my modifications. But to be honest with you, I've got several Dragoon revolvers, and I've had problems with them dropping the loading levers too. So, Retard says that'd be a good caliber for you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking 30-06. I've got my uncle's 25-06, which I've heard people say that they can take elk with it. To me, that's a little bit small. Of course, you get an elk in close. I would take a shot with 25. And then I follow a couple hunting groups on Facebook. And the whole 6.5 thing is, Jesus, just say anything about taking an elk with 6.5 and it blows up oh, that ain't enough gun, and oh, I've shot this many elk with it. It's all about shot placement. Yeah, well, you can kill an elk with a 22. That doesn't mean it's recommended. The only other thing I thought about different from a 30-06 or a 300 Win Mag for elk was it the 264 Winchester Magnum, which is basically a 300 Win Mag neck down to 26. But then I got to look at the price of brass and like, holy crap, barrel life on them doesn't last as long. The other thing I thought about for elk was 308. But I think I'd go with the 06. And I've shot 300 Win Mag. My former boss up in the Dakotas, he had 300 Win Mag. His was just a standard Savage 110 or 111. I can't remember which one it was. It started out life as a 7 mil mag, 7mm mag. But when he bought it, I guess the barrel had been burnt out on it. So then he had it rebarreled to 300 Win Mag, and then he never used it for hunting. Hunter Bonnie. I'll highlight that one. Yeah, the only thing on the flask, if you buy the Walker flask, I've heard that the Walker flasks are very historically accurate and that they don't throw a very accurate charge. So if I was I would just get, if it was just me to get a flask, I would just get one of those brass basket weaves. But if you're trying to put it together for like a historical impersonation, then yeah, go ahead and go with that Walker flask. But just be aware that it will not throw a very accurate charge. And also they've got it set up to where, historically, and it's historically accurate, it'll hold 6 round balls in that flask. So you're actually only getting half of what you would get out of the brass basket weave flasks that I can't remember what company makes them now. You only get about half of what the other ones are. And I'm glad to hear that you've been watching for about a year. I know I haven't been posting a lot of content. Like I said, it's just been a lot of things going on, a lot of different reasons. Oh, Hunter Bonnie. Now there's a Walker flask, and you'll pay about $60 for it, last I looked. I bought, because I got 2 Patterson revolvers, and do not waste your money on a freaking Patterson. They're a pain in the butt, unless you're doing it purely for historical purposes. I finally come across a Patterson flask that was not outrageously priced because nobody is making them. The only people making one is for the later version that had the loading lever attached to it, and it's a single spout. I've got one of those too. I paid $40 for it, but I finally found one of the 5 spouters. That was a reproduction. They had one on Gunbroker, and I think it's still on Gunbroker because they wanted like $300 for that flask. I happened to go on eBay one day and I typed in powder flasks, and first thing pop up was that Patterson 5 spout. I bought it for $125. But yeah, they're them older Colt lasts. They're not that great. So Jordan Bell asks, there it is. Anyone running a Winchester 97 shotgun and have stuck holes? Any recommendations? I don't run one of them. Had a chance to buy one and I missed it, and I wished I hadn't. That the first thing you look at on stuck holes is polishing the chamber, which doesn't take a whole lot. So I would start there, polish the chambers out. If you're shooting an original, That's probably take care of it. If you're shooting reproduction, you may have to do more. But yeah, I had a chance, and a buddy of mine wound up buying it. But a friend of mine at work asked me one time if I wanted a Winchester 97. I assumed he wanted a price that was too high for me. Bangs, it's an original Winchester 97 made in 1902. So I told him, I said, I don't think I could swing that. So my other buddy at work buys it. $200. I could have kicked myself. The only thing wrong with it is the O-ring in there, because it's a takedown model. The O-ring or whatever it is that keeps it tight had worn out. Oh, I was so mad. I was mad at myself because I just assumed that he wanted too much. I should have asked him. I said, I should have asked him how much he wanted for it. Todd B. Patterson's my everyday carry. More power to you, because I've got a Birdie one, and I love that thing. That one's awesome. The only problem is you can't get parts for it. That's why I don't mess with it. I bought a Pieta. I spent $600 into it. I shot 15 rounds, and the gun just kind of went to crap. I spent the next couple weeks getting it up and running again. And then I had the problem of the wedge went to crap, and the wedge would fall out and the barrel drop off. So I carry it. I do carry it every day at work as a showpiece, not as a use piece. It's just for show for my character. And I like to show people. And one day the wedge had fallen out. I didn't realize it. And somebody asked me about it, and I pulled it out of the holster, and there's no barrel attached. I spent the next 4 hours going through this place looking for it. I finally found the wedge. It was right in front of my locker back in the changing room. But, after that, I took that wedge, and I went to, because I was pissed. And do not ever work on one of your guns when you're pissed. So I was pissed off. I went into the blacksmith shop there. I grabbed a ball peen hammer, and I just peened the crap out of that thing. Stuck it on the gun. It was just tight enough I couldn't. So I took that ball peen and I tapped it into place. Now I can't get it out. If I took a wedge, I could get it out, but or a drift, took a brass drift, I could get it out of there. But yeah, I wasn't happy. But it's a showpiece anyway. Let's see. This thing keeps jumping ahead, so I'm getting out of there. Lemon Bang Bang. Did I ever find a good load for my Cimarron double barrel? Yeah. Quite a few. I've got some shells right here. So these are some cheap Federals that I got years and years and years ago when I was a little kid. They're aluminum based. No, excuse me, they're steel based because the magnet sticks to them. So they're steel based. These are just El Cheapo Walmart. I think we paid at the time, you get them for $4 a box, 25, 8-shot. All these are Dove and Target loads. These work reasonably well. Once in a while, you get one that hangs up. The cheapo Remington Walmart shells, 7.5, 8, 6 loads work well. The hotter Remington number 4 hunting loads work well. Winchester double A's, the brass double A's. I haven't had any problems with them. And that's it. Everything else throws a fit. I haven't polished the chambers yet. I got talking with the guy, and he said the biggest problem with them, polishing chambers won't fix because the extractor is not really fitted to the guns. It's just kind of dropped in there. He said if I could find a good machinist that was good at what they that was good at gunsmithing, could make one, and it would fix the problem. But I just haven't bothered with it yet. I was thinking about ordering and getting a 26-inch barrel on it, and then having the barrels threaded to put chokes in, and using it for a hunting gun. But the way the configuration is now, it's got cylinder bores and 18-inch barrels. I took a dove hunting one time. You can't hit hardly anything with it. The shot spreads out way too fast. But yeah, it's got some good loads. Just Winchester double A's is. Everybody I've talked to says that Winchester double A's work in all of them. When you start getting into the Federal Remington loads, it gets iffy. It's very gun dependent. But the cheap Winchester steel base, so the Winchester ones that look like this, Nobody has ever been able to run any of them reliably. Let's see. Everybody, Walker holster is almost the size of my thigh, probably 2 to 3 inches short. Yeah, they're big. I do make some Walker holsters. I've got kind of a Lonesome Dove Gus style. I've got a copy as close as I could get of an original that I've seen in a photograph as a flap holster. I don't know what the belt loop looked like on it. It's the only picture I've seen of one like that. I do know it has a flap because it's got a place down the body where it was like on the civilian half flap I got where the retention strap goes in. But both of them have it to where the barrel sticks out. And the reason for that is the Gus style, Gus's his stuck out. And this picture of this original, the barrel sticks out the bottom. So when you order it from me, that's what I got. And the nice thing about the ones I've got is if you get a Dragoon, you can order for a Dragoon as well. The barrel is completely covered with them. So it can be a multi-purpose holster. Let's see. And the thing jumped around again. Todd asked 32-20 lever guns, hunting rifle. I've never shot a 32-20. I've seen the bullets for them. You know, I think they would probably be similar to a 30-30. But I can't honestly tell you much about them. I've never played with one. Is the 97 the one with the blimp-shaped charging handle? The Winchester 97 we was talking about is the pump action, the trench gun. Jordan says that picked up a cheap reproduction, riot setup, not a bad gun. Just okay. So you've probably got, I can't remember who made those reproductions now. From what I've heard, yeah, you kind of got to go through them, and I've talked with people that have had ejection problems with them, and they say it's more of the fit and finish of the internals than it is a problem with the shells. I can't remember who it was I was talking to, but they had one of them and they stripped it apart and they just took and, take 400 or 600 grit sandpaper, just kind of polish up all the internal parts and then re-blue them. And it solves a lot of problems. But if you don't feel like doing that much, what I would start at, like I said, is polishing the chamber. And any gunsmith you go to should be able to polish a chamber of a shotgun. Alan Evans says you won't be seeing Remington anymore. Yeah, I heard Remington kind of got into some trouble there. I didn't read much up on it, but it's not like they did bankruptcy again. Sorry, but the chat on the thing where I can highlight it keeps bouncing around. Plowboy's Ghost. Hey, Plowboy! How's it going? Said I'd rather have hammers, but one thing I can say for my Stoker is that after polishing, it's reliable extracting. It's easier to shuck the empties over my shoulder. Yeah, I like Stokers. There's nothing wrong with Stokers. I just, like you, I like the ones with the hammers. Jake Raywo, who's he's got a YouTube channel, and he's usually on here. I haven't seen him tonight, but he sent me a message. He had one of the Cimarrons before it was made in China. I don't remember who he said made it, but he said he was getting kind of similar results to what I had, and his gun a lot prettier than mine. Oh my God, it's a lot prettier. And somebody had commented on one of my videos asking if Cimarron still made them with the case-hardened receiver and the longer barrels. They still make them with the longer barrels, but they don't make them with the case-hardened receiver anymore. Now you got to buy the Wyatt Earp, which is a little bit newer model. I don't know what it's a copy of. When it comes to historical shotguns, I got to be honest, when double barrels and stuff, I can't tell you a whole lot. Shotguns kind of do like handguns. They've got their own widespread grouping. If you show me a double barrel shotgun, I can identify a Colt 78, and that's about it. I can identify a Winchester 87 and a 97, but my shotgun knowledge isn't all that wide. Jeremy Gunslinger says, I got a single shot that hates black powder loads. I got a single shot. It's an H&R, which I love the thing, but it's gotten to where it don't eject with a crap either. I'm going to have to polish the barrel on it. Alan Evans says, have you ever made a cross-draw holster that was almost slanted 90 degrees so you can carry it at 6 o'clock? No, but I could probably adapt a Slim Jim to do that. And I could probably get you up to about 60 degrees on a flap holster. Or, excuse me, flap loop holster. But I kind of just make copies of the old historical that they kind of sit down about like a 45. But yeah, I could probably make one. The only thing about a 90 degrees, you have to put a retention system on it, like a thong or something. I'd be afraid that the gun would fall out. Well, it might not fall out of one of my holsters right away because I make them a little bit tight, but it could be done. And it's bouncing around again. So Hunter Boy, yeah, okay. Has a cylindrical handle. Okay, he's talking about on the blimp. Jordan Bell, Marine Code Chinese, it's a love-hate relationship. What's funny is that the I don't remember what company makes the Cimarron double barrel, but they're Chinese. The gun looks okay, but it's kind of crap. But I got the Chinese 1887, the CW or the PW87, the Zhengzhou lever action, which I paid $300 for. Everybody says they're crap. I love mine. It's just a pain in the butt to load, and the internals are sharper and sharp. I took it apart one day just to kind of polish things up so it would run a little bit smoother, and you will cut your fingers up if you're not careful. But I love that thing. It's just that I can't use it to go hunting in Colorado just because of the way the loading mechanism is. By the time I plug it to where it can only hold 3 shells, it'd be a pain in the butt to run it. And the other reason I don't use it as hunting is the hammer. It is so hard to put that hammer on safe. You'd have to carry it with an empty chamber. So when you got it in Colorado, if the magazine holds more than 2 shells, you're in trouble. And so I'd already have to carry just 2 shells and then have an empty chamber on it just because that hammer is such a pain in the butt. Todd B. Thoughts on the EMF Californian Colt single action Army clone? I hear the steel is better quality than what Birdie uses. Being the CMF, I'm going to assume that's probably a Pieta made gun, and Pieta does use better steel, hands down. That's why I continuously say a Pieta will outrun a Birdie. Pieta's got the strength qualities, Birdie's got the looks. So it's kind of a toss-up. I buy Birdie guns because I do historical interpretations, historical enactments as what they call an interpreter with the Park Service. So I use the Birdie just because they look better. Because nothing gives away, one of those reproductions and saying made in Italy when you're at a reenactment for the 1860s or later, or in that time period, I should say. Alan says Remington went full bankrupt last November. I'd heard that Remington went down, but like I said, I hadn't read much up on it. Of course, NRA declared bankruptcy not too long ago too, but it wasn't because they're out of money. It's because they're trying to move to Texas, and so they did that as a way of not having to pay anything, which I think is kind of a cheap shot, but be willing to get back behind the NRA again if they ever get rid of Wayne Lapeer. I just don't like what I've heard about him in the news and such. Any use for a 12 gauge black powder shotgun? Yeah, you could go hunting with it. I have a friend that he's got the Pedersoli. He's got a Pedersoli 12 gauge, and he uses bismuth, and he goes goose hunting with it, and he loves the thing. He tried to sell it to me a couple of years ago, and I didn't have the money for it at the time. But I mean, it's a nice shotgun. You can definitely use it for hunting. It's just, if you're gonna hunt waterfowl, you got to buy that higher dollar bismuth to use in it because it won't use steel. The one I'd love to have, and if I do ever buy a Pedersoli double barrel, it will be the 10 gauge. Because, like I said, I buy a lot of my old guns for historical reenactment purposes, and the Texas Rangers are well known for using 10 gauge shotguns, 10 and 12 gauge shotguns, and out here on the frontier, double barrel shotguns were becoming prevalent in the 1840s. You can see a lot of references to them. They never specify as whether the percussion or flinters, and flinters were around then. But I would just go with percussion. I looked at the Pedersoli flintlock double barrel. I was like, that's way too much money for me, but man, is that a cool looking gun. But me and Pedersoli flintlocks, with the exception of my brown bess, have not gotten along. Oh, now that's good to know. Okay, so Remington is produced by CCI, which I think CCI makes good stuff. Marlin's purchased by Ruger. Great. So you're probably going to have a problem again with the Marlin lever actions not being worth a crap. Because quite a few years ago, when I guess it was when Marlin went to Remington, the lever actions were crap. And then all of a sudden they started being made. They got good quality again. But that's the same thing that happened with Winchester. Winchester went out and now it's being made in Japan by, I can't remember the name. Can't remember the name of them, but the company. But I've heard good things about them. But you can't get a genuine USA made Winchester anymore, not a new one. Hunter boy. So, right-handed person. Me personally, with the longer barrel black powders, I like a cavalry draw. It just works better. That being said, by Patterson, I carry on my left side. But I found that, I'm not exactly skinny. I kind of got a big gut, so reaching around that big gut to grab at it doesn't work. So I find that, I wind up, being as I carry it on the left side as cross draw, I wind up doing a cavalry draw with it in my left hand. So I'm going to make a new holster for it. But you see in the Slim Jim area, you see a lot of cross draws. And there was, just those strong side straight draws too. But, with the longer barrels, an angled holster, it's easier to get the gun out with a longer barrel gun than it is with a shorter barrel gun. And I've had people argue with me on this on one of my videos, that traditional carrying, which I need to redo that video. It's kind of outdated. Everybody says, you got to wear it low down on your hip. You look in the pictures, all the historical photographs, very rarely do I see one being carried low on the hip. They're usually being carried pretty high. And even that's one of the Hollywood movies I got right with Shane. Shane talks about carrying a gun high. I think that's the only Hollywood movie where they talk about that. And it was at the time in Hollywood, where everything was Buscadero drop light. But you see a bunch. So it would be a lot of personal preference. But when you're riding a horse, a cross draw doesn't get as much in the way when you're mounting up. This past summer, I was riding a horse down at where I work at, and I got that Patterson on, and with it on the left side as a cross draw, getting on the horse ain't a problem. I had a Buscadero rig one time, and I got on a horse when I was a lot younger, and that damn thing, when it's tied to your leg, you can't get on a horse. and it just kind of gets in the way. But I really enjoy cross draw and cavalry draw, so it'd be basically left-handed cross draw on the right side that you draw from. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of personal preference in it, but a lot of what you see is a lot of cross draw. Plowboy. So the new Cimarron Spencers are up to 2,000. When I looked at one, it was 1,400. God, they're getting expensive. I almost bought one, but it was in 5650. At the time, I couldn't find ammo for it, so I wanted one in 45 Colt. If it had been in 45 Colt, I think I'd have spent the money on it right there. Chat bounced around again, so I don't know where I'm at. Jeremy's got a good point. You Birdie for look, Pieta for work. Pieta will run you a long time, but I noticed Pietas tend to shoot higher than you Birdies do. But and Ryan says, yeah, they do both make good guns. It's just you Birdie. They used to have the problem back in the day of their color case hardening was really washed out, really gray. So it didn't really look all that good. But the steel was pretty decent for hardness. Then they changed their hardening process because they use chemical case hardening. And, there's two common processes. One of them uses arsenic, one uses cyanide as a base. I don't remember which one does which, but one gives you really hard metal with poor color. The other one gives you excellent color with softer metal. And they've gone to the one that gives the vibrant colors, but it's softer metal. And you pick up a Pieta. I noticed when I was opening the sights on it, because the first thing I do with a black powder gun when I get home is I open up the back sights so that I can actually line things up. I can take a cheap Walmart Chinese-made needle file, and in about 4 or 5 passes, I can have the sight opened up on a Birdie. I can take that same cheap file, go to the Pieta-made one, and I can make 4 or 5 passes, and I don't even touch the color case hardening. It's still got the same color. It looks like nothing happened. So Pieta makes damn good steel. I wish you Birdie would start doing that. And Pieta has pretty good color on their case hardening too. But if Pieta would go to doing like you Birdie does and putting their information down below the loading lever, I would be a Pieta man hands down. But they print everything on the side where it's in plain sight, so it's like Jeremy said, Pieta's for work, not for looks. Oh, Jesus. 45 Colt. Yeah, I don't know if I'd spend 2,000 on it, though. God, I hate spending 1,000 on a gun. I've only got 3 guns I've spent $1,000 on. One's my 6.5, and that was putting a scope on it, putting it up right at 1,000. Well, I hope 11 Bang Bang says he's got one of those Pieta Pattersons. I hope you have better luck with yours than what I've had with mine, because mine, I just did not have any luck with it at all. Hunter Bonnie says, other than you Birdie and Pieta, which other replica companies are there? None that I know of. Pedersoli was making a Remington copy there for a long time, but they never marketed them in the United States. They were all over in Europe. I don't know if they still make them or not. And, excuse me. Pieta makes limited. So they make some of the oddballs. I think they're still making Lamats. They used to make Star double actions and single actions. They used to make Spiller and Burr. I think they still make Spiller and Burr. So they make a lot of the Confederate guns. They make the brass framed 1851 Navies, which is a copy of Schneider and Glassick. Then they also make brass framed 1860 Armies, which is junk. They make the actual Griswold copy. And they make 1860. Let's see. So they got 1860 Army, 1861 Navy, 51 Navy, Remington, Schneider and Glassick, the crappy 1860 brass frame, Spiller and Burr, Griswold Gunnison, Dance Brothers, and Lamette, Patterson. So Pieta makes kind of a wider range, but when it comes to the big Colts, the Dragoons and the Walkers, Pieta doesn't make any of them. Which I don't know why, they could easily do it. And then Birdie covers all the Colt clones very well. They got the pocket models, the 51. They used to make the Patterson, they don't anymore. All your Dragoons, which somebody told me they're going to stop making some of the other model, the first model, the Whitneyvilles, and I think second model, they're just going to, somebody told me they're just going to make third models. They make copies of the Remingtons, the 36 and the 44, which 36 is actually just a smaller caliber 44, but I wish they made them more accurate because the 36 Remingtons were a little bit smaller in frame size. Yeah, besides Remington and Colt, that's the only ones that Birdie makes. So each of them fill their own niches. Put it that way. Jimbo, Winchester Big Bore 94, 375 Winchester. That's a good size gun. I can believe that. So yeah, 11 Bang Bang says we have one of those Pieta Pattersons. The loading tool broke on the first ball. I'm not surprised. I've got the Birdie Patterson with the loading tool, which getting those together sometimes that's kind of hard in the market now. And I got it at such a good price. My God, I could sell it now and make triple what I bought it for. Yeah, and then I bought the Pieta and I got the loading tool for it. But Pieta, I don't think has the 4-point nipple wrench. I think it's got just a standard nipple wrench, which is nice, but it's not historically accurate. Jimbo says, I carry a Birdie Walker cross draw left under arm draw. I carried a Walker for a while when I was in college whenever I go hiking. And I tell you what, no matter how tight I got the belt, because I carried mine on a belt, that damn belt was always down around my butt. I could never keep it up. CCI also owns Blazer. They claim to be over $1 billion, 1.5 years behind online back order. They will start restocking shelves when they finish their online orders. Be ready to buy Aguila. I used to shoot CCI all the time. I really like their mini mags and stuff, but yeah, this ammo shortage is going to take a long time for it to ever get caught up again. And the way things are, it may not catch up for a lot longer. I earlier last spring, I went to order 223 because I was talking about the ammo shortage, so I was going to buy 1,000 rounds. The place I was going to buy it from back ordered it. They told me it was supposed to come out in like a month. Okay. Well, I got delayed again over a period of 3 months, and every time they got delayed, they kept tacking it up higher, even though I'd already booked it at the price of $400 for 1,000 rounds. They kept tacking up the price on me, so I finally told them, I said, no, cancel that. I don't want to back order it, not if it keeps going up. Like I said, I got a ton of 223 brass. I got a ton of bullets. I got a ton of powder. I just don't have the time to. I just don't take the time to reload them. Jimbo says I can shoot anything 100 yards plus with my Walker 44. I hit a milk jug at 100 yards. Hit dead center, two-handed. I didn't dare try to do it one-handed. I was afraid I'd miss. It's funny. I tried to do that again. I couldn't hit it. And I tried to take. I tried to replicate the Wild Bill Hickok shot where he killed Tut at 80 yards with a heart shot. So I took my 1851 Navy and I shot that. And Jesus, I could not hit a balloon at 80 yards to save my life. Jimbo says you birdie is affordable quality. Yeah. Pietta's a little bit cheaper, and if you're buying a gun just to shoot, I would go Pietta, but like I said, you birdie, you pay a little higher dollar for that better look. Not to say that they aren't good quality; they're decent quality, but a lot of people call them a kit gun. Really, I think if you're going to spend that much money on what's labeled as a finished gun, it should be a little bit better. But Hunter Boy just asked, "What's more expensive, you birdie or Pietta?" You birdie is going to run you higher. I just said it's you pay a little bit more for that good look. Let's see. Aguila and Fiocchi are going to take over the ammo industry this year. Yeah, I've heard good things about Aguila. I've heard they got good quality ammo. Fiocchi, hit and miss. I got some Fiocchi double out buckshot, and that stuff is not that great. I've shot Fiocchi 4440 out of my John Wayne gun, my little short barrel 70 or my 4 3/4 inch barrel 73 single action, and I'm just not real fond of Fiocchi's ammo. Is Spiller and Bernie good? I don't know. I've never played with one. Maybe one of these days. See Jimbo. I prefer you birdie. It's tight, and I say you can change parts with the original. Yeah, you can change some parts with the originals. But I've had to do more parts replacement on you birdies than I've had on my Piettas. My Pietta 1860, when I bought it, I had to replace the internals because it was poorly put together at the factory. Once I got it put together and got it working, it's a perfect gun. Works real good. But my U birdies, I've had to replace hammers. My 1851 Navy, I'm gonna have to put a new hammer in because the sears about wore off. I had the cam wear off on a 72 open top. I've had screws just completely strip off for no reason whatsoever. So you do have to put a little bit more into keeping a birdie around. But if you're just going out to the range and shooting a little bit every now and then, it's probably not going to make a difference. But there for a while, I was shooting my U-birdies a lot, and I really wore them out. But I've never worn out a Pietta. Jeremy says he carries his cross draw. Cross draw seems to be pretty prevalent, like I said, with a longer barrel gun. Yeah, I mean, I've shot Aguila 223, and I thought I got 62 grain stuff, and that when I had the shorter barrel on my AR, that stuff worked real good. I haven't shot any of that since. Most of the time now when I shoot my 223, I shoot the cheap steel case that I bought, which that stuff is dirty. Oh my god, I had to clog up my gun fast. Like I said, I got a ton of brass. I just haven't reloaded for it. Yeah, Walker is 5 pounds almost. 4.5 unloaded. I think when me and a friend loaded one and weighed it, it came in right under 5 pounds. It's a chunk of iron. There's no doubt about it. And it's like carrying a 500 Smith & Wesson. Yeah, I've got a ton of 45 Colt brass. I got 4440 brass. I got 4570 brass. I've got 223 brass. I got a lot of 30-30 brass. I've got a little bit of 25-06 brass, and I've got some 6.5 brass. I don't have a lot of 6.5, but the amount of money I spent on 6.5 loaded brass, I could have bought that really good Lapua brass and had better results with it, I think. Jimbo, how to file the rear sights down on my Walker? Now, should I try Dremel or diamond wheel? File. Because Birdie makes the Walkers, and Birdie steel isn't all that hard, and I have not yet found a Birdie that you can't use a file to adjust the sights with. I couldn't tell you about that one. About that Berkshire model, because I don't really mess with Heritage too much anymore. Oh, Barkeep model. That's what it was, Barkeep. Yeah. Well, nobody talks about Pieta. Just, I don't know. Pieta, like I said, they're kind of uglier guns. They're lower end, but well, they'll outrun a Birdie. Thou shalt become the Arizona Ranger with my Walker. Thy Walker. Yeah, Walker is a piece of iron. I just now got the reference. All right. Big iron on his hip. Yep. Jimbo says I tried and did do crap with the file. Birdie might have been pretty good. I haven't bought a Birdie. I knew Birdie for a while. And then you commented earlier about the shielding from the percussion cap being on. Don't take the whole sight notch down. What I would do is when you file it, bring it back to full cock and file it from there, because then you're kind of filing it at an angle. But I hate using power tools when it comes to adjusting things on guns, because with a file, you take a little bit at a time. With a power tool, you can take a whole lot all at once and could do too much. But Dremel with a sanding drum would do all right too. Just, like I said, be real careful. Saboteur said, I had to send my Pieta 1860 to Texas because the cylinder was too long. Yeah, sometimes Pieta gets some guns that should never have left the factory floor that get out in circulation, but Birdie has their problems too. All right, looks like I kind of got caught up with the comments here. Says, could I do a comparison of a 38 special black powder versus a 36 conical, or 45 black powder and 44 conical? I could probably do that one of these days, because I do have old Army San Marco conversion. The only thing is I don't have reloading dice for 38 special, but I do have a 51 Navy conversion and 38 special. The problem is the damn front sight won't stay put in it. If you get a good gun, they all keep going. That's one thing I thought about getting was an 1851 Navy Pieta, but I hate spending money on a Pieta just because they're ugly. Okay. Ryan Cotter. Not sure what you mean by svelte. Then the 1851 model. I've got a 61 and a 51, and I kind of like the 61 better. It just, for one, that's the only Colt open top I've got that shoots to point of aim. But the fit and finish on it was better than with my 51. The parts aren't wearing out as fast on it. I think, I bought it a lot later on. So I think that was probably when Birdie was getting a little bit better quality. In fact, I think that was the last one I bought. No, I take that back. 49 Pocket Model was the last one I bought. But I love my 61 Navy. It's the only one I haven't modified too. On all my other New Birdies, I went in and I took them red grips. I took paint stripper and I stripped them down, and I dyed the walnut down to where it was black, and they look so much better. And you can handle them too. You get sweaty palms with them red varnish grips, and it gets harder to hang on to that gun because it's so slick. But when I went down to wood and just tongue oiled it, a lot easier to keep a grip on. Okay, if you hear an elk in the background, apparently I've still got Hunter Call of Wild going on the Xbox over there. I forgot to turn it off. Oh well. Hunter Boy, is the 4.54 the usual for firing with a Walker? I told my dad that, and he was skeptical because it simply sounded too big. No, actually, 4.54 is about the minimum size you can use. With my Walkers, 4.51 drops in, does not shave a ring of lead, which that leads to issues with chain fires, and we can start a whole nother can of beans with a chain fire discussion. I get pretty good accuracy of the 4.54. It shaves the finest hair of lead off. I know a lot of guys go with a 4.57 in them, but with my home cast 4.54s, my Walkers shoot really good. I mean, really good. So yeah, 4.54 is not too big. And the nice thing about these revolvers, if you do get a ball that's a little bit too big, if it's good soft lead, it'll shave it off and size it when you load it in. So the thing with your black powder revolvers is you've got a loading press all built into the gun. It bullet sizes, it seats it. You put the powder in there. It's basically a loading press that shoots. Alan Evans asked, do I do the gun and holster stuff full time, or do I do something else for a living? The holster gig is kind of a side gig. Guys do that for a little extra money here and there. My main job is I am a living historian, or was. I don't know if I'm going to get my seasonal job back. I work seasonally for the National Park Service, doing living history stuff. That's my main gig. I used to work on a ranch up in the Dakotas. In between that, so I jump between two jobs every year. But I kind of got fed up with the ranching job. I just did not like the weather in South Dakota. When I graduated college, I promised myself I was never going to spend another winter in South Dakota again. Excuse me. And then, I graduated with a degree in geology. And at that time, I was looking to get into petroleum. But, a previous administration was not friendly to the fossil fuel market, and they had screwed up the petroleum market and the coal market. So I wound up not being able to get into that. So I continued working my college job, which was the living historian job. I still do that. And then I went and worked on the ranch in the off months because the living history gig was only 6 months out of the year. And the winters in South Dakota, I just can't stand the wintertime in South Dakota. It's not something I really enjoy. And after having 3 or 4 nasty winters back to back last year, it got the better of me, and I got fed up, and I quit in a fashion that was probably not the best. Basically told them I would not be coming back. So right now, kind of living on what I saved up on, but I'm looking for work. It's just that with this COVID environment where I'm at, trying to find a job is not been easy. And I'm not sure about the living history gig, if that's going to come through again or not, because COVID has screwed up the budget there too. So, yeah. I would love to do the holster stuff full time, but right now I'm just at the point I don't get enough orders to justify trying to do that full time. And I don't make enough on YouTube to justify doing that full time. Probably because I don't upload as much as I should. I probably could make it better, but the thing with the Black Powder Gun channel is you're not getting a very big following. It took me, I've been on here for I don't know how many years, and I've only at 5,000 subscribers. And I don't make the best videos out there around, but there's some that are able to do it. Dustin Weiniger, he does a lot of black powder on his channel, and he's got a lot of viewers. I'm surprised Dustin isn't on here. He probably didn't get the notification either. But yeah, Dustin, he does a lot of great stuff too. In fact, he just did a video on a 1022, and I'm kind of jealous because I was wanting to get a 1022, but can't pull it off right now. All right. Jeremy's wondering on the difference in speed. Depend on which gun you're using it in. The Walker, I think I read where they do about 1,200 or can do 1,200 feet per second with a load. Your 45 Colt with a black powder load is going to be averaging below 1,000 feet per second. I can't remember off the top of my head what the speed is. I think it was like in the 800 feet per second ballpark. But if you put it up against an 1860 Army, I think the Colt's probably going to outperform that. I think with a round ball in the Colt, that one time I tested, of course, the wads were screwing up my chronograph. So if you watch the videos on the ballistics with the air's gone, bullet mold bullets, those videos aren't that great because the wads were screwing me up, and I didn't realize that until after I published it. Yeah, I see the 45 Colt's probably going to outperform the 44 in the 1860 Army. I don't think it would outperform. We're going to be pretty close with the Remington because Remington can hold a little bit more powder. 11 bang bang. Do you prefer the 1862 over the 51? The 62 Pocket Police? No, I do not. The 61 Navy, I prefer that over the 51. But of all of them, I'd take the 51 over the 60 Army. Either one of those 36 caliber 6 shots I would take. Not because of, they're going to be less knockdown power, but they're just easier to handle, I think. And I like the grips of the 51 of the Navy's better than I like the 1860 Army grip. I really don't like the 1860 Army grip. But okay. Retard commentator, go green. Yeah. Yeah, but to get to green, we're going to have to keep using coal for a long time. Ryan Cardor, how do I order a holster from you? Good question. I'm going to throw up the email address here. So the email just went up there in the comments. That's where you can email me at for a holster. Let me know what you want, what you're thinking of. We'll figure something out. All my holsters are more the old style traditional. I don't do the wet molding. I don't do the modern stuff. It's all the historical stuff. But just kind of give me an idea what you're looking at. I'll try to see if I can find my pictures and kind of show you what I've got for patterns. So I lost this computer last year, lost the hard drive off it, and I lost a lot of my pictures of my holster. So I don't know what I've got pictures of anymore, but we'll figure something out on that. And there's some folks on here, I don't know if they're watching or not, but I got a couple of holsters I've been sitting on that were ordered last year, and I emailed them, and nobody ever got back to me. Of course, sometimes it takes me, especially when I'm making holsters when I'm working, it can take me a while to get holsters out. So that's why I don't ask for any money up front. I should though. Yeah, you can email me there. If I don't get back to you, I don't always get notifications from that email address. So send me an email. If you can't get a hold of me, send me a message on Facebook. J-Man, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's bouncing around again. Yeah, Jeremy, you've been doing it for 3 years and got 216. Yeah, it took me a long time. I think I was up for 2 or 3, 4 years before I got above 500. And then all of a sudden it just went kaboom. But I was also putting out, at that time, I was putting out a video once a month. So uploading a lot. Being as I didn't upload hardly anything last year, I was gaining about an average of 1,000 subscribers a year for the last couple of years. This year, I haven't up, or 2020, I didn't upload anything, and I only gained maybe 500 subscribers. So uploading regularly does help with the subscriber count quite a bit. Yeah, I'll agree with that with a point. The thing of it is, when you go to triple F, like in my brown bass one time, I decided to shoot triple F to see what it do. If you do equal charges, that triple F is going to kick the crap out of you. But yeah, that's pretty good. I've known guys that use triple F and 54s, and they get pretty good. But in my black powder revolvers, I always use triple F. Now, when I'm reloading brass, different story. I use double F when I'm reloading 45 Colt brass. Just seems like that burns better. It doesn't kick as hard. I reloaded one 4440 with triple F one time, and my God, it was like shooting a 44 mag. Had a lot of recoil on it. Yeah, it's like once you get going, all of a sudden it explodes, but you got to keep a regular upload schedule. That's all there is to it. The more regular you up, and the more you upload, the more subscribers you get. I don't know why. It just seems to be the way it works. God, my nose is itching. My God. Like I said, it's been a while since I could smell after I got COVID in December. And now that I smell, my nose just itches like crazy. I don't know why there's that correlation there, but it's about to drive me nuts. Depends on the style of holster. I don't remember what my prices were. I'd have to look at my list again. I think I was charging for a basic Slim Jim. I was charging $60 to $75 in that ballpark. I don't know how long a barrel or how long a holster you want, but 2 belt connections, that's going to be a little bit harder to do because, man, I don't have a holster to show. I guess I could use this. Depending on the size of your belt. Now, if you're using just like your standard pants belt, that won't be too hard. But what I could do, unfold this one. What I could do on that is instead of my usual, belt loop that's only so wide, I can make a loop that comes out a lot wider. That way it wouldn't flop around as much. But if you're putting it on a 7.5 inch barrel with the curvature of the body, you're going to be doing a lot of this on the holster if you put a connection way out at the end. Now, if it's like for a sheriff's model, I could probably swing that easier. But let me know. I can figure out something. Make a prototype, kind of test it out, see how it works. Runner Boy says, I wouldn't feel too bad about the YouTubes. Haven't touched my channel in almost 5 years. Now, I just uploaded a couple of videos back in December, and I think I'd been a little over a year since I'd uploaded. And 2020, I didn't film because, one, the cost. COVID kind of screwed everybody over. But I'm hoping maybe in 21 I can get out and shoot. But my videos, like I said in a previous video, I said earlier in this chat, are not going to be focused just to black powder. The channel kind of going to spread out more to more of the things I enjoy doing. because I enjoy spending a lot of time with family fishing. And on my days off, when I was doing the YouTube real hard, I go to the range and I'd shoot on my days off, and never really spent much time with family because my dad and my uncle, they don't like to go to the range all the time, and I was going to the range a lot to just do YouTube videos. I enjoy shooting as much as the next person, but it was just got to be kind of a job. But it was taking me away from the other things I enjoy. There was a long hiatus in there that Dad and I, and my uncle, we didn't go hunting. And I finally decided, you know what, I want to spend time with family. And then in 2020, when COVID hit, you kind of start realizing how important family is. That definitely take priority. So we did a hell of a lot more fishing than we've ever done. We've done a hell of a lot more hunting than we've done. So yeah, I got to doing more things I enjoy. And then I got thinking, there's no reason why I couldn't bring a camera along when I'm doing some of that stuff and film and still enjoy time with my family. So that's what's going to happen in the future. Well, with the videos is I'm going to expand out and do just more general outdoor stuff, more hunting, more fishing. And, things get better. I can get a place where I can go do some shooting. We'll go out and do some shooting videos. We'll get the black powder guns out again. But in the future, something to look forward to. But, as Al Swearingen says in Deadwood, announcing your plans is a good way to hear God laugh. Hunter Boy says, I might try to do YouTube again this year. And I'm also starting up on Twitch, but I'm not sure. Well, don't have to do it all the time, but, it's fun. I enjoy doing YouTube. Just wish I had more time and bigger budget to do stuff with on it. Here we go. Here's a good one. So 40 grades, 3FG, Old Einsford, 250 grain, 45 Colt clocks, 1027 feet per second out of my 5.5 inch old Model P thumps on both ends. Yeah, I bet it does. I have not used Old Einsford basically because it's a little bit more spendy. Last time I bought powder, I bought 10 pounds of powder from Grafts and Sons. I think I've got like 7 or 8 pounds left. I didn't wind up shooting as much as I thought I was going to shoot of it. I got 1F for my brown bass, which that stuff's kind of crap. Then I got a couple pounds of 2F, and then mostly I got 3F for the revolvers. But I like GoX. I've shot Swiss. It's spendy. But one thing I've noticed with Swiss is that I didn't get as good a performance out of it as I did with GoX. I don't know why. And one thing I noticed when I was loading my 50 caliber muzzleloader one day is that Swiss seems to react when there's static electricity in the air. I tried pouring that stuff down the barrel and it just kind of jumped over the muzzle. It was really weird that day I was using that. But one I would love to try is Schutzen. I'd like to get my hands on some Schutzen powder. But being as I got 10 pounds of GoX, I really don't need to buy it. Oh, Jeremy's signing out. Okay. That's a good one. Yes. So I found a couple sources on the charge for the brown bass when I was trying to load up for mine. And one thing that's consistent is 69 caliber round ball was used. So it's using a 12 gauge round ball and a 10 gauge bore, or actually 11. It's 11 gauge bore. But the powder charge I read was 120. I shot it with 120 and a 69 caliber round ball. There's no kick, hardly ever, but there's no accuracy with it either. God, I can't remember what I was using that day. Jesus, I think it was 100. I'm pretty sure it's 120 grains. 715 round ball. Really good accuracy. Not a lot of kick. One day I tried to I was out plinking around with it, and I kicked it up to 2 because I had read it was a 200 grain charge. And with a 200 grain charge and a 715 round ball, that had a pretty good thump to it. Of course, I'm using double F. I didn't like using 1F because it seemed like it fouled the bore up really bad. But the one source I found that was a little bit more credible said that 200 grain charge was standard. But you got to figure in you're priming the pan with the same powder that you're using for the charge. So soldiers on the line, depending on how much your powder they're pouring into that pan, figure maybe anywhere between 5, 10, maybe 15 grains of powder is going to go out into that pan. So you're not getting the full 200 charge in the barrel. So I don't know. I was going to test that out one day, and I haven't done it yet. But I was going to make some paper cartridges and see, what the velocities were, kind of see how much powder you go in the barrel with a 200 grain. But thing about some of that older stuff is it's hard to find because the Rev War there wasn't a lot of, or at least not that I've seen. There's not a lot of resources that I found on it. Hunter boy says it's almost 12 where he's at, so he's gonna say goodnight. Yeah, it's about 10 here. We went a little bit longer than I thought. I figured about 2 hours, and we're 3 hours and 15 minutes in. So it's been a good chat on here. Glad to see some of the folks out there that haven't talked with on a lot on chat for a while. Surprised Dustin and Santee didn't jump in. That reminds me, I got to film a video for Santee one of these days here too. He's going to do a collab. Alan Evans. All right, awesome. I will take a look at that. Let me see if I got a notification on my phone. Thing of it is I got to use my phone because I can't get to my desktop because my sewer line, like I said earlier, went to crap. So I had to pull everything out of the closet, and it's all into the office, and I can't get access to my computer because it's stacked in tighter and tight. I haven't sent anything on my phone yet, but I'll double check here. I haven't checked the email for a while. But yeah, if you send an order for a holster, if it ever gets to the point where I haven't contacted you in 2 months, check your email or send me an email because either one of the two things happen. My email ain't getting out or I done forgot. Because I have so much that goes on, I have been known to forget. Let's see. It says I got 10 emails. Yep, we got it. So, we'll get that figured out on there, Alan. Not a whole lot. We're just doing a chat there. PS News. So we'll run for a little bit longer. We'll go till 10 o'clock here. That'll give us another 10 minutes or so. Squiblo, do you have any Bohannon holsters left? No. But it don't take me long to square one of them out. I got to the point where the double loop holsters don't take a lot of time, or the loop holsters in general don't take a whole lot of time to put out. I can cut one out, sew it up, and just about have it ready to go in an hour, hour and a half. The Slim Jims take a little bit longer time because you got to cut them out, then you got to sew the belt loop on, and then sew the body of the holster, and then I've been putting toe plugs in them. But yeah, I can easily make up a Bohannon. It don't take a whole lot of time. The most time consumptive is doing the dyeing process because you got to dye it, and then a lot of times I got to dye it twice because it's I use the cheaper fightings, and it seems like I don't get a whole lot of good coverage sometimes. But Then I got to oil it. The reason why that takes so long is you got to let it dry in between dyeing and then the oiling. And then, I burnish the edges and stuff so that they're nice and smooth. Let's see. Jay, man, what's your favorite black powder revolver you own? Oh, God. It's a toss-up between Walker, Whitneyville Dragoon, and my 51 and 61 Navies. If I had to pick one of them all, I'd take the 61 Navy. And like I said, it's just because that's the only cap and ball I got that shoots at point of aim. I didn't have to regulate sights. It was already there. I got lucky on that. Let's see. The Bohannon, will it fit both a 51 Navy and a new model Navy? Yep. Now, the 51 Navy is going to fit a little looser. That Remington model is going to be a little bit tighter. And one problem that I've noticed with all of them is that when you go to draw the Remington, the sight hangs up when you draw it. And on the Navy, the magazine, or not the magazine, Jesus, the loading lever catch hangs up. And I've opened the mouth on the design, and the design now that I'm on, which is like 4th or 5th design, works a lot better. But they do hang up, so don't plan on doing quick draw, and I wouldn't recommend doing quick draw anyway. Good way to shoot your toe off. Trust me, I know. I came close to doing that one day. I trimmed my toenail quick drawing a 22 pistol when I was, I think I was still in high school. I had that heritage. My dad had bought it, and I was shooting with it, and I'm going to do a John Wayne, do a quick draw. Yep. Just about drilled my toe off. That was the last time I ever did a quick draw. All right. Looks like the chat's slowing down here. Still got 17 people watching according to this thing. So... Alan says I flagged my own hand so close I had powder burns on my pinky. Yeah. Oh, and Alan, got your email, but the pictures don't open up. So, might have to send them again. Or I'll look on my computer and see if they open up there. And also, Squibload on that Bohannon. It'll fit a 73 single action too, but then the ejector rod gets hung up, the ejector tab. But yeah, I can stick a 73 single action in one. Lemon bang bang. Yeah, I got a picture of Jesse James holster. The only thing is, I don't have a Smith & Wesson to model my holsters around. So unless I could find a pattern somewhere, that's one I couldn't turn out is for the Smith & Wesson. If I could find a aluminum gun, one of those copies for making holsters with, I could make one. But right now I don't have that to offer. But Squibload, or not Squibload, Jesus, Plowboy's Ghost is getting too late. It's about time to go to bed. Plowboy had a video with a Schofield and a holster, and I don't remember which one he had, but it fit really nice. Plowboy, if you're still there, feel free to chime in. Sabater, yeah, I wanted to do another contest, but yeah, life kind of got in the way. I'd like to do it again sometime. Not if you could send it to the Facebook page, the Duke Fraser Productions Facebook page. You can order through there too. That's fine. If not, I'll try my computer later tonight or tomorrow if I can get to it. And I've got your email here, so I'll get in touch with you if things don't work out. But yeah, try it on Facebook too. I'm more likely to get it on Facebook than I am on the email. Get the pictures to work anyway. But yeah, it's just the Dick Fraser Productions Facebook page. PS News. I don't know of anybody that makes a holster for the CVA 50. I could probably real easy make one, just be a tube of leather. I've seen some original from old style single shot black powder pistols from way back in the day, and they're just a tube of leather that goes around it with a belt strap on it. But anybody that's on the market like Cabela's, I don't know of anybody that makes them for them. Ryan Card. My first and last quick draw sent the revolver downrange. Yeah, do a 44 mag. I got a half uncle, kind of the black sheep of the family. He took my grandfather's double action revolver. I don't remember. I think it's an Ivor Johnson. And he filed the trigger sear down so he could quick draw. Well, he completely filed it flat. And it no longer engages on the full cock. Doesn't even work very good on double action anymore. And he took that and he quick drawed it and cocked the hammer back, and the bullet went down his leg. Went right in, just under the skin. Went right down his leg, hit that ball on his ankle, and came out. He got very lucky that day that he didn't have a bigger hole. There you go, PS News. Alan put that one up there. So there's you an outlet on it. Like I said, I could probably make one. That one would be pretty cheap probably to make, or cheaper than my other holsters. But if that one's a way you want to go for it. Being as I don't have the particular pistol that you're thinking of, it's harder for me to make a holster for it. I can make a holster for the guns I got. But if I don't got them, I can't really do much. And for those of you that got the Ruger new model armies, I do have a holster pattern that works for them. It's for basically the same as a Remington new model army. Ryan Crawford, yeah. I got another buddy playing with a 45 Colt one day. And he's in the Marine Corps. He should have known better. He's playing around with it. And he showed me one day, he's like, yeah, he said I shot myself in the leg. Shot himself with a hollow point. But he got it right in the meat of his calf. And little hole going in, big hole coming out. But didn't slow him down. He still was able to walk. So he got lucky too. But yeah, I've seen the bad end of that quick draw stuff. Who is it that one kid had a viral video going on? It was Tex Grebner. He was quick drawing with a 1911 and shot himself in the leg. He got lucky too. That was a funny video to watch. I know he got a lot of crap for that, but yeah, that's why I don't quick draw anymore. All right, we got a couple minutes left here, so if you got any last minute questions, be sure to get them in. We're going to shut her down here at about 10 o'clock, so 3.5 hours. I'm getting tired. I'm getting tongue twisted anyway. And my uncle, he almost shot himself in the leg with a 1911 one day too. He never really played with a semi-auto pistol very much, and he cleaned it, and he dry fired that a lot when he was letting the hammer down on empty. Well, he cleaned it one day, slide was open, slid the magazine in, hit the release, wasn't even thinking about it, had it in his lap, and he pulled the trigger to let the hammer down. And the hammer went down right on a live round. And he missed his leg, but he had a scar on it, or a mark on it, where the heat from that bullet passing over put a mark on his leg. He couldn't have missed it by more than a hair. Put a hole in the floor. And since then, he don't carry that gun with or around in the chamber. He won't chamber around in it. Love bang bang. Yeah. I remember those days trying to get out and feed the cows before the ground thawed out. Well, one day we did it, and the temperature didn't get below 40 that night. It was in February. It was a little warm spell in the middle of cold. I was sitting there driving the tractor out across the field, the road through the field to get to the cow pasture, tooting along there, and all of a sudden the bottom of the ground went out. It was right next to the culvert. The culvert was froze up, so all the water that melted all night had cut a channel through the ice. I sunk down about that far. Oh, my head hit the top of the tractor cab. Scared the crap out of me. I just wonder if something didn't get stuck or get broke. Yeah, I don't miss them days. Alan, I'm in Colorado. And that's as close as I get to describing where I'm at. Because as much as I enjoy fans, I hate when they knock on the door when I'm taking a crap. Saboteur, yes. I would love to make it a Geronimo holster. It's going to be a long time out before I get that good. Ryan. Yep. Enjoyed having all you, J-Man. Glad to have. I'm glad I've got the subscriber base that I do. They're all wonderful people. Alan says, thank you very much from Texas. Yeah, I guess it's 10 o'clock now, so we're going to shut her down. So, yep, we'll, I'm not sure when, but we'll do another chat here sometime in the future, and hopefully I've got some more videos to bring to y'all here in the future, a little bit wider base than just the black powder, and hopefully we get to do some black powder stuff in the future too. So, all y'all take care. Have a good night. We'll catch you on the next one.